Good evening, everybody. Hey, Dadman Walking 55 here, 3 minutes after 9 on the East Coast of the United States of America, the great East Coast time zone. And yes, it's Friday night. What Friday night would be complete without Buck Rogers? Yes, actually, I got the show name right for once. I've been calling it Battlestar Galactica like crazy, but hey, um, just what's so funny with it is this, I get that stuck in my head. Like I was telling somebody else earlier today that, hey, they're like, do you really like Buck Rogers? I said, I love Buck Rogers because to me it has the pew pew bang bang that I need. You know, the little Star Wars side of the sci-fi issue. But then again, I don't know what sci-fi, I don't know whatever they think are technically. I just know what I like. I know what I enjoy. And I like some banging. Well, shooting guns, well, and looking at some gorgeous women, which this series definitely has its share of. And we will see that tonight with some of the topics that we have with this episode. And we also had our more elderly statesmen in these episodes. So sit back, relax. Oh my God, 11 of y'all here already. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, did I hit the tweet? I don't know. I think no, I did not hit the tweet out. Hey, folks, everybody, thank you for being here already. Let me bring in this cast of crew. You should have heard the chaos in the back room, and then I will put a tweet out that we're live. Oh my God, they're blowing up the private chat. Forget the regular chat and everything. They're going crazy. So, all right. Oh my God. What? The Valley Girl talking in the back. All right. So anyway, hello. Well, let's get this going. Let's get the show on the road. Let's bring in. We're going to bring in Grace, Class, and Elegance first. It's our residential kitty cat herself, the great Daisy Blossom. How are you tonight, Daisy?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm well, and I'm multitasking and failing miserably at it.
You've been told not to do that.
Well, I try to, but it's only a one-man operation, and I've got to get certain things out at certain times. So I'm glad to see you tonight. Mm-hmm. Glad that you're here with us. Exactly. All right. Well, let me go ahead and bring in another member of this cast of crews who was also talking Valley Girl-ese. In the back, it's the great JT Kirk. Hell, Captain. How are you tonight? Uh-oh.
He's muted.
You're muted, JT. Uh-oh.
Dang it, Mark.
Dang it, okay. Mark. There you go.
You know, I was really relieved when you didn't bring me in first, when you said the person with the most class, because it would have just said, oh, man, Dadman, you need to send me back to the green room. You made a horrible mistake.
Oh, no, I know.
I thought you meant hungry.
Well,
it was a toss-up either way. I just knew it shouldn't have been me. So good move there. I will tell the chat though, and everybody listening here on the rewatch, the green room was just pure chaos tonight. I mean, everybody was high energy, so we are very excited to get talking about the show tonight. And hopefully we haven't had too much caffeine, and we'll talk slow enough people will actually be able to understand us.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, even Daisy's telling me to calm down off the stream. It's like, hey, settle down. But hey, great to have you both with me tonight. And I tell you what, guys, one of the biggest partners in crime I have next to the missus, the person that will say at 2 o'clock my time, say, hey, you want to stream, want to chase squirrels? Yeah, I usually can never say no to this person. When he calls, I say yes. I jump how high, and now that I've fully embarrassed him, which I love to do, it's the great Hungry Boy.
You know, if I wasn't made out of Ben Grimm thing rocks, I'd be blushing. Thank you very much.
Yay. How are you tonight, Hungry?
Oh, okay. A little sleep deprived, but I mean, we have some very interesting things to discuss tonight. I am in eminent company, and it's going to be it's going to be, actually, it's imminent and eminent.
I don't know what I'm imminent for, but hey, here we go.
See, folks, this is happening. This is happening.
We have set the tone.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sitting there getting the tweet out, and I'm like, I'm doing a hashtag Buck Rogers, and you got me now hashtagging Wilma Deering, and we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah.
The
No, there's a lot of Wilma to talk about in both episodes, but there's a lot of other actually, despite the jokes, there are a lot of very interesting concepts regarding science fiction versus space opera to talk about tonight with both
we'll
episodes.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
We will do that, and let me see.
I'm dreading when we get to the music and JT has to open up.
I know. Well, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Music.
we'll go ahead.
Music.
Listen, guys. Listen, we got 16 people here with us, and we're only 3 minutes into this thing. Can you believe it?
All
you
right.
guys rock. You guys in the chat rock. Y'all are amazing. Thank you. Make sure you comment, even if you're lurking. Just say hi. Check in. We even have one in German on the Twitch side that I do not understand what they're saying. So our friend Masters is out there. If you can help me translate a little bit when we get to it. But of course, the great Cardi came by earlier.
Hello.
The first one. Hello, Cardi. Hopefully you're still with us. From South Africa. Thank you for joining us tonight. Of course, we got great Daisy Blossom, who's launching off to space and smiling with the television set.
I like that.
We now have a troll in my group. But it's kind of one of the curmudgeon trolls that we like. Yeah. The Admiralty guy. Okay. Oh, you Baltar hating colonialists. Anti-silent propaganda. Oh, we never said
I like the silence.
I know. Well, no, it's Baltar. He thinks Baltar's so misunderstood.
Hashtag Baltar did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
Correct.
So
No, because Dadman likes making fun of me when I bring up Shakespeare. Baltar was Iago from Othello. Okay, that was his.
Oh, I thought Iago was from Aladdin, Disney.
No.
What? Gilbert Gottfried's voice.
They just chose the wrong name for the right character in that case, Dadman. That's all that was. Oh, dear God.
Folks, this is what you come for. You got high-class intellectual guests like them and just plain old me here. So
it's never plain old you. It's never plain old you. You are the peanut M&M of this group, okay? You're the better M&M.
All right. Well, damn straight. All right. I like that.
And I don't mean the rapper dude.
Well, Hungry Boy, you get the gold star for the night so far. You're the favorite panelist for now, so we'll see how that changes by the moment. So,
I got a smiley face in kindergarten.
Oh, my friend Buddy Hepburn's here also. Buddy, hopefully you get back with us. We are actually planning a college football stream. I was telling JT we've got 4 of our 5 major conferences represented. So,
and I don't think I've ever streamed with Buddy, so it'll be an honor.
So we'll see. He's got to check his schedule for the Pac-12. But sorry, Buddy, I didn't mean to embarrass you like that. But I was trying to say is we're going to have a football stream in about 2 weeks, and we got at least 4 of our 5 conferences represented. Looking forward to having that going. But Buddy, always a pleasure to have you in, and look forward to seeing what Buddy Hepburn has to say, being so young for a show from the 1970s and 80s. So hey, good to see you, Buddy. There's some, and hey, this is when you know you're made it. You're international. You got the great Archer Collin here with you at probably almost 2:00 in the morning his time over there. Hell, sir, good evening to you, and thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you here again with us tonight, Archer Collin. Maddie's daddy's here. Hey,
hello, Thor.
Hello.
Yes, feeding Maddie.
Hey,
have a great
Thor
stream.
in
Don't forget
Vegas.
to leave, like you said, don't forget to leave a like, and enjoy feeding that little youngster. So
best to Maddie. Best
Yes.
to Maddie.
absolutely.
The future POTUS in 30 years. She'll be the future POTUS.
Personally, I'd rather have somebody appointed and take over immediately, and it'd be this person.
Yeah.
Hello,
Excellent
Mrs.
plan.
Good answer. Good answer.
Hello, Mrs.
Hello, Mrs.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Good to see you. So, and Ragnar Sepasan, it's German. One of our great friends or masters over there is following us on the Twitch side. So make sure you're here with us. And I'm going to have to get a translate. JT, can you help?
Well, zusammen means together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I just was wondering how much German you know. I think
that
it's
might
like
be internet. It
I
might
think
be
it's
2 internet for me.
I think it's
It says
305
he's
over
already
there.
in bed.
Oh,
It's 3:05 in the morning in Germany.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming and checking in over there
Have
at
fun
that
with
time
the
in the
stream.
morning.
Good night.
All right.
Nighty-o.
Well,
Got
thank
good
you,
night.
Ragnar. Yes.
I
I
understood
knew
that
good
part.
and
Yes.
not. Good and not.
Oh, that's awesome. But say, and Masters, Twiggy.
Bitty,
Master-
Bitty bitty bitty.
And Miss Masters, I will respond to
Good one.
you probably on Sunday because we're supposed to talk about doing something around the holidays. So, hey, Masters, good to see you tonight. Let's see. Let's see who else we got in here. Phantom Outsiders here. Oh,
Hey,
good to see
Fante.
you.
All right.
Hey, hail Fanti outside.
Eminent company existing or operating within, so technically correct. The best kind of correct per Futurama and Central Bureaucracy. Oh my gosh, Admiral Teague is
Nice.
Dr. Theopolis is a robot dictator. Hashtag stop Theopolis. Oh my gosh.
I see your point. However, in these 2 episodes, he is actually more humane than a lot of the humans. So
Yes.
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
something I like
Yeah.
about these 2.
Oh. All right. Archer Collins said he just finished playing Castles and Crusades. What better way to finish off than Buck Rogers? All right. Yeah, exactly.
Nice statement.
Thank you, sir. Everybody sit back, relax, and I've got the tweets out. I've put them wherever they go. So let's start with this week. 15 minutes into this episode, this show for the rest of the night. Make sure, let me run the thing here, the typical. Make sure you follow us over on Twitch and, on the YouTube. Make sure you're still subscribed because sometimes the subscriptions still get taken away. But make sure you're subscribed. If you're new to the show, subscribe. Make sure you pound that like button and blast it like Twiggy. All right. Let's see. So far this season, let's take it from a general standpoint. Then I'll introduce the first episode that we have. So far, we're 6 episodes in. What's your general thoughts with the TV show so far? We can start with you, Daisy.
Pass.
Okay, JT.
Yeah. So, being an enormous Star Trek fan, one thing you always notice with those series and many other series, House, a lot of great TV out there, right? It takes 2, maybe even 3 seasons for the show to really hit its stride. And there could be a lot of awkwardness and awkward writing. In my opinion, this show has really hit it off well. Even only 6 episodes in, I feel like the writing is well done. The actors know what they're supposed to do. It doesn't feel like 7 pilots filmed back to back. And so I'm engrossed in it and I'm immersed, and general feelings are pretty good. I'm unfortunately feeling a little bittersweet about it at the beginning because something happened that this only got 2 seasons.
Yep.
And I'm just hoping I don't get to that until the very last episode. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get that far, but I like where I'm at right now. And I wish I could hold on to this for forever. Sadly, you can't, but yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yep. And Stunning and Brave
Stunning.
has come in. Hey, Stunning, good to see you. God, this stupid mouse of mine's like doing stupid stuff. Anyway, oi, good to see you, Stunning. Hey, sit back, relax. Okay, Hungry Boy, an overall assessment from you then.
For this singular episode,
we are through 6 episodes. Just kind of a general starting point like JT did.
You mean for where we are up till now with all the other episodes?
Okay. You're right. Right. The 6 that we've had, and where are you kind of sitting with this so far after 6?
I am torn between admiration and enjoying guilty pleasures, because since brevity is the soul of wit, so often in this show up until now, so much disco, so little time in 48-minute episodes. And I mean the music ranges, etc. But there's the one thing I'll just finish off with is I like the fact that different episodes feel different because different writers handled them versus everything feeling homogenized.
Yep. Okay. All right. Daisy, any thoughts from you? Overall assessments?
I think I'm leaning a little more towards Hungry in the versions of some of it is amazing, and I am so into it.
Hmm.
And some of it, I'm thinking I like it more like a guilty pleasure.
Mhm.
So occasionally I may be laughing at it instead of with it occasionally. But like JT said, a lot of things take a while to really get everybody clicking on all cylinders, including the crew. And since it is written by different people, that sometimes means that there's a little more chaos in it. But I'm still interested. It doesn't mean that I'm not interested in it.
Mm-hmm. And I think you can sometimes laugh at stuff and do it where it's respectful or fond memories. It kind of like that little relative that you just laugh. You're like, oh, you little cute guy. You just because it's charming, I guess, in a way. It has a charm to it where you can kind of laugh at it because you're like, that's so silly. But it's not a bad silly. It's one of those. It kind of connects with you, like and not necessarily it's so bad it's good, but it's just it's kind of hard to explain. But it's just kind of not all laughter is bad. Not all laughing at something is bad. Sometimes you laugh at it and it brings you joy. Truly does.
Yeah, but just as an overview again for both of these episodes, I mean, there is some bow chicka wow wow music. That's so
well, there's some bow chicka wow wow people.
I know, and see, but the music really underscored it. Okay, and it was so 1977 Pizza Boy meets the lonely MILF housewife, and it was just killing me. And we'll be talking about those moments later on, but some of the music was just making me think, oh, can I hit mute? No, I won't hear what the characters are saying.
Exactly.
Closed captioning is your best friend.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. Masters said, for me as a kid, it felt like you entered a whole new world every episode, and the Outer Rims even made it more thrilling. And because I agree, so far through 6, except for the 2-parters, it was like every episode was a whole brand new adventure. You're entering new worlds. You're being exposed to new characters. I mean, we got a new major this time. We got new villain. Well, not really a villain, but who's kind of a bad guy in the series in the general sense. So, and I do agree. These seem like back to episodic TV. Everything stands alone. I mean, where it says it's a 2-parter, it's a 2-parter. But like we see tonight, we got 2 separate independent episodes, but they stand together on their own.
And we're actually skipping ahead past Plot to Kill a City, which is two of the best even though it's a 2-parter, so technically it's really kind of one episode. That's some of the best stuff, but we have to get to that later on for the reasons you stated earlier.
Right. Because what we did here with the next 2 was 6 and 7 are a 2-part episode, but with 5 coming, Vegas and Space coming before, we went to 5 and 8 so that we could do 6 and 7 together the next time we meet. So Buddy Hepburn says this series is full of Batman 66 Rogues Gallery.
Yes,
we're going to see it tonight. Absolutely.
And a couple of my other favorite, I'll have some info for you guys for both of the major villains in both of tonight's episodes, because if you're a horror science fiction guy who likes the old school stuff, the faces and the names are familiar. If not, it'll just be stuff for Jeopardy round.
Oh gosh, what a description! But hey, let's go. Overall, I'm where I would assess it is happy, very very happy, very very pleased. I can understand why I still had fond memories of this show. Because it was good. Like I was telling Daisy, I think beforehand, for you guys that know sci-fi or the definitions of sci-fi, it does contain those elements. But unlike Star Trek, to me, it's got that pew pew bang bang, that action side that I like, that I
Can't give that up.
It is. That's why I think I like Battlestar Galactica. Because the things where there's some shooting and it just, to me, that's what I think of with outer space and stuff like that. And no disrespect at all to the Star Trek franchise, because there's been some great, amazing episodes that I have watched and I've liked. But it just, to me, when I think space, I think explosions, guns, shooting, and stuff like that.
Okay, but that's fair. And the thing is, because we've talked about this 3 times thus far, and it's always good to bring it up again. You know, you ask us, what are the definitions of sci-fi versus sci-fi, etc. When you say bang bang pew pew, there's actually a third term for that, which is space opera, and that's very specifically bang bang pew pew, lovely outfits, grandeur, spectacle, leave your brain at the door, sit back and enjoy.
Right. And I like that. I like SpongeBobbing it. Just
you spoiled it.
Hit the plunger, and just think about oh, wait till you see the fine dining, nothing but breathing and fine dining episode, Hungry. So at least I got the right name. But no, in all seriousness, I appreciate the point with the space opera. So the fighters are cool. I liked all the fighters. They were really cool in this. So now Masters would say he would change one of the silly effects for any CGI today, as they were only used to underline the story, not to tell it. But you see, I think the comment, if I'm reading this right, I think that yes, you can tell that it's data technology. You can tell it was very limited back then, but you know what? It does not overpower it. So today, and we're so looking at the CGI and the quality, we're making judgments on the quality. Is it accurate? All this stuff. Back then, we could accept it. We knew the limitation. To me, back then, this was top line stuff because we've not seen stuff like this before. We were just getting exposed to space travel, space fighting, all this stuff. So.
And also, I think part of where MMM's comment is coming from is there's been a raging debate for years about Star Trek, the original series, with the original effects, and then they all came out on DVD sets with these, I say this in sarcastic quotation marks, new and improved special effects. And for some of us, it really bloody rankles. And this is like for Star Wars people, to back you up, Dadman. There's the Star Wars we saw in 77, and then there was that thing with all the CGI additions that came out after George decided he wanted to, quote unquote, fix things.
Right. And ended up messing with the original. Exactly. I know. I agree. Well, hopefully I ended up answering my own question, but I mean, I'm happy. I'm not disappointed. Like when I got New Zoo Review, a kids show from the 70s, and oh dear God, what a bunch of hippie crap. And it was like, and there's been old 70s shows. I'm like, well, how the hell did I ever like this? But it, like I said, I do think a tendency towards the space action, like I said, the space opera, but yet it still has the sci-fi in it for the people that really like their sci-fi and or take that seriously. Buddy says Plot to Kill a City and Unchained Woman are favorites.
Right on, buddy. Right on. We in the same room together and we're playing the same jukebox.
All right. And Phantom Outsider said they need to bring on these casinos that can be bitten with a simple calculator.
Oh, God.
A spacecraft that can easily do interplanetary travel, but a simpler calculator can break the bank at a casino.
That's true. I think some of us are going to be bringing stuff like that up pretty soon, Fanty. Pretty soon. Yeah. I mean, the size of the I don't mean to jump ahead. The size of the calculator on the guy's sleeve. Good God. When he's going through the security check. Good God.
Dude, try to be discreet. Hide the damn thing. Hey, make sure y'all hit that like button, people. We've got 15 watching us tonight. We haven't even had 18, so let's keep going. So, but Phantom Master says the Phantom Mouse of Texas Instruments was a thing these days. Yes, it was. Oh, look, he's yelling at me. He's yelling at me. I'm going to SpongeBob, JT, I'm ready. Oh, gosh. All right, now this one is when we can take it, and we're going to get into the episodes in just a second as we finish up here. Buddy says, indicates that Earth Director Thunder Fighter was based on Ralph McQuarrie's original design for the Colonial Viper.
Yes.
And I think we touched about this a few weeks ago, though, a little bit.
And for people who don't know, Ralph McQuarrie was the guy who did almost all the conceptual design work for the very first Star Wars. And in fact, he was the guy that did the first conceptual designs for Darth Vader himself. And he did that using a combination of marker and gouache, colored pencil, and airbrush on colored paper. No CGI, nothing but talent, skill, and hard work.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Very cool.
So, yeah, definitely definitely a name that you will know if you're in the sci-fi areas, and if you're familiar with Star Wars, by all means, yeah, Ralph McQuarrie. And I think you can find a lot of his work out there in
There's
the
whole books
internet
of
and
it.
other places. Yeah,
Books of it.
exactly. Some of the Star Wars books and
Coffee
others.
table books of it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Fine work. It's just amazing.
Oh, he's a
That
hero of mine.
that's
He's a
what
hero of
always
mine.
amazes me. And I tell you what, you artists just amaze me. The creativity, the detail. I can't draw a stick figure right, but it's and I say that but seriously, not only to get a visual in mind, but then to put it to paper,
Mm.
is really really amazing to see. I just complete respect.
Well, just
So
like Aaron Gray, you start out with talent, then you add skill. That's the
yep,
way you become an artist at anything.
exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's see about kicking this first episode off tonight, folks. It's Vegas in Space. All right.
Yay!
Vegas in Space. This is episode number 5. Was directed by Sigmund Neufeld Jr. It was also written by Ann Collins. It originally aired October 4th, 1979. I was 9 years old at that time, and it's considered, let's see, production code was number 53406, in case you like that kind of stuff. Plot wise, here's where we go. That got a giggle, thank you. But hey, all right. A young woman, Felina Redding, is kidnapped, and her employer, a notorious smuggler named Amos Armott, comes to Dr. Hewer for help. Armott believes his competitor, feared crime boss Morgan Volosky, trapped Felina because she knows too much about his organization after stumbling upon a computer code that controls 3/4 of Armott's covert operations. If helped, Armott offers to turn himself for his crimes, for Felina is not only an employee. Well, we'll find out a little bit more. We'll hold off on that for a little bit. We'll reveal it during the course of our discussion. Hewer initially refuses, but is persuaded by the Major Marla Landers, who were introduced. I think was she in the previous episode? I'm trying to remember, but or she might be new this episode. But
she was briefly in the pilot.
She was briefly in the pilot. Okay. When she questions that Armott has technical secrets of draconian marauders that have been preying on Earth shipping lanes, Buck takes a mission alongside Major Landers, and the two arrive at the Orbital Casino Resort of Sinaloa. Hey, there's your Sin City for you. While Landers uses her charm to distract Velocity, Buck rescues Felina before a hired interrogator, Carl Morphus, can conduct a potentially fatal mind probe on her. Oof, mind probes. However, they must escape an attack by draconian fighters summoned by Veloci. So, all right. That is the summary of this episode for that. And like I said, I pulled it from our friend at Wikipedia. I don't think there's much more over on the IMDb side. It's pretty well the same
I'm
thing.
glad you didn't find the summary on the IMDb side, because that sucker's a page and a half long, and we'd be here till tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't even see the page and a half. I got that little...
I got the little blurb.
Don't worry about it.
Blurb too.
Don't look for it. We got to start talking. We got 2 episodes to get through.
I found it. But go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you didn't.
Yes. But I just wanted to say, because I really like Anne's writing, and this isn't an overview. This is just how the entire episode starts out, is in the middle, and finishes. It's the screenwriting is really good quality, and the first episodes we've seen up till now are like World War II. This is more similar to a Hawaii Five-0 undercover cop sting operation, and that makes a lot of sense, because Ann Collins, she actually wrote 4 eps of Hawaii Five-0, and so for someone, so she's someone who professionally wrote cop shows before this. So this is why the crime aspect works so well in the writing of this episode, because you have someone with experience in it, and plus also you got as we'll find out later, the James Bondian aspect of gambling, plus other forms of, shall we say, depravity.
Right. Well, this whole episode started off with something different. We've had the targeting computer, the whole computer issues have been one thing after another from the pilot on, as the Draconians and stuff, and so now they they start us off in you think it's a space battle, but it's really not. It's a training mission, and
Mhm.
Buck is frustrated. He's like, let's just go manual, forget the computers, because the computers were not, they hit 1 out of 14, and they were getting, the whole drill was done in like 2.5 minutes, and with their defeat, so we're seeing a continued theme coming back of the bad computers and their weapons for the Earth system, like somebody's really trying to subterfuge or try to undercut the Earth's defenses.
If there's one thing I know about targeting computers is you switch them off.
Yeah.
Use the Force.
Yes, just use the Force. Well,
Exactly.
I think they also said in this episode that the Draconians had come up with either a new fighter or a new system called these hatchet fighters.
Yes.
So it's some sort of an upgrade. So not only were they having the targeting issues from the last episodes, but now it's actually gotten more pronounced.
Yeah, the precise problem as stated in the episode is that there's something about these hatchet fighters which is never properly explained, which means that they can defy the anticipations of the actual targeting computers in the Space Directorate, Earth Directorate ship. So people are relying upon these computerized maneuvers and stratagems for firing upon other ships. And it's almost like the hatchet fighters are anticipating those moves before they happen. But it's never, we've only got 48 minutes of screen time in every episode. So they can't go through everything and make us happy completely.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, if it was on Netflix, we'd have to spend 5 bloody hours on this one portion of the episode, but thank God it was network television.
We did get the fake out death, though.
Yeah.
She made a face that for 3 or 4 seconds made you believe that she made a face. She looked sad that Buck had been killed. It didn't last long, but
I didn't buy it.
and I didn't either. But they were trying. They were trying. I think we all may be jaded from the fake out deaths, though. So I don't remember in 79 whether I went, oh, no, he's the name. That can't be.
Yeah, well, I at least now it's kind of like, well, that had to be training then, because it's like you wouldn't write off your guy in the 6th.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Then again, there's a mouse franchise that decided that a good, powerful Jedi needed to be going around. I know, sorry. I know, JT. I'm sorry, but hey. I'm sorry. Thank you, panel. Y'all caught me. I just sort of passive aggressively threw that out there for the fun of it. But again, nowadays, some writers will go in those things. They will, they will write off characters when you don't expect it. But in this case, you knew it was coming. It wasn't going to happen with that. But but it was kind of it gave you. What was this? It wasn't real. Then why are we doing this? And then we see more, we get the introduction that it's more, hey, they're still having issues with their fighters, because to me, it's also a comparison of time periods. See, Buck Rogers would have been from, obviously 20th century, where it's more manual fight, even in your modern jet fighters, there's still times with manual, override, a lot of manual overrides. There's a lot of manual stuff that's to the human that has to do. Whereas in 25th century, with the technology, you can make the assumption that you push a button, that the pilots just push buttons. So So if I got I like the way they brought that scene in, at the beginning to continue a problem, which then as we see that problem also flows through this episode as we then then go to see that it pans to the apartment and she's there and you see somebody coming up behind her to sneak up on her and gets her. And then after that, we get the discussion about the problems with the fighters some more. And then we realize that
even before that, I just want to bring up one thing. Once they landed, Buck was being very naughty and taunting Wilma. But to be fair, in the previous episode, Wilma had been taunting Buck, and there's this little sexual tension thing going on between them. And
enormous.
Okay, fair enough. But this is going to be an ongoing thing throughout this episode and a few other ones. So we just have to point out that the show had guts in doing that and having this sort of personal psychological dynamic between the two characters. But it almost never went over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found the other thing that was amusing because, again, the technology, they're trying to guess 500 years in the future. So she goes in and she turns on the answering machine that's a video answering machine. And I found it amusing that she kept talking to it. Like when her teacher said thank you, she said, like, you're welcome. And when her boss came on, she said his name. And I'm thinking, why are you talking to it? And the other technology thing that's funny is they go up and they like ring a bell and then they yell at each other through the door. There's no intercom system to talk to people that are standing outside your door. You have to shout at them through the door. I thought that was funny.
And we can't have shouting through the door anymore because of smartphones. No, I'm not joking. There is no, unless you turn your phone off, there is no silence for you, no solitude for you. You have to turn the bloody thing off. So I'm just backing Daisy up here. It's interesting that we still had these freedoms of small plot devices, and the smartphone has ruined almost all of them in science fiction and particularly in horror films. Half of the shit that happened in good horror films cannot happen today because you can always message somebody. You can always call. You guys have 911. We have 000 here. And yeah, I mean, you could actually live Instagram the monster as it's coming to eat you. Everyone's going to know what happened.
Yes, but you know that they always leave the cell phone, or they don't have a signal, or they just forget they have one.
And the
As you're
Wi-Fi
yelling
goes
at them,
out, and
and then they all split up and go.
That goes
into
back to the
dark.
Valley Girl thing, my darling. That goes back to the Valley Girl mindset.
Please. Anyway, I found it amusing that how they're trying to anticipate, because this is the late 70s, so
Yeah.
tons of the things we have now didn't exist. So they're trying to imagine what it would be like. And my laughing is 500 years from now, you're still talking to the video thing, even though it's not two-way. And you're yelling at each other through a door, even though you just basically rang a doorbell. It's just, it was amusing. It's amusing.
They had
it is amusing and
intercoms in the
charming.
70s, which
Yeah, they did.
I think it was just a budget thing.
Well, they even had
yes.
they had intercoms in the 60s. They had them at the Pentagon.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't.
I
must have
thought
been
it was a budget thing.
Might be.
Yeah, it's just it's interesting to see. Sit back and listen to y'all talk about that because, excuse me, different things. So I just move on because we move further, and then we see that Buck's playing his little putter
golf.
Yeah, the mini golf.
Yeah.
He's putting, and then she comes in and surprises him and gives him that offer for the mission.
That scene is so sexually charged.
Oh
yes. How
so
she
charged.
gets him to do that, what she wants, she's so good at it.
But the dialogue, I mean, the thing is, Buck says, "Not bad, huh?" And Wilma shoots back with, "Depends on what you're doing." Gotta love Wilma.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, that is like James Bond, Sean Connery level naughtiness right there.
Right.
Well, but see, it was discreet. That you know it's there was without like we talked about how so much back then, you got away with, and that's what's so cool watching these shows backwards like this is like to see how subtle it was and sophisticated.
Now, see, I thought.
Go ahead.
I thought that the whole scene that we saw in last week's episodes where he was trying to teach her martial arts and they kind of did
Judo.
this, let me, quote unquote, show you how it's done. I thought they were going to do that here because that's a popular trope or, an borderline overused trope of let me show you how to swing this golf club, and then you end up smooching, and then they cut scene. They didn't do that here. However, they did use another trope, which I knew was coming, but I laughed at it anyway. When he started the downswing on his putter, she started talking again and messed it up.
Which
Because
is
he
naughtiness.
had just said
Yes.
it took tons of concentration, and she waited until he was about to hit it and then said something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was a callback to NASA too, because then that when we went to the moon.
Yes.
I forget which. I'm not good with names. I forget which astronaut sort of somehow managed to sneak a golf club and golf balls onto the Apollo mission, and so that he was playing golf on the moon. So I thought that was a good callback.
Also, there's some really subtle naughtiness in this, because she's playing with him and getting his attention. She's being very coquettish and batting her eyes and being very flirty, and she makes him miss the hole. Listen to those words. Makes him miss the hole, and it's shown visually. And I remember the adults in the room chuckling and my mom blushing, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Why are people reacting this way? And now now in my 50s, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it got away.
They used to get away with a lot back in the 70s. Some of it might not
Thank you,
be
Alan
quite
Shepard
so
with the
clever.
golf club.
Yeah, well, Buddy Hepburn's like Wilma
Thank
fly
you.
fishing hard, bringing up Marla Landers. So
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing about
now the Phantom
this is-
Outsider allegedly at the spaceport. Their announcement was made for Adam Strange and Rivals Thanagar.
Oh, that's a big comic book in joke. Okay.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a big, okay.
Oh, really? Alan Shepard did. And hello to Mr. Angel.
Hey, Mr. Angel.
Hello, Mr. Angel.
Hello. Who's also a comic
Hello.
book fan, by the way. And the thing about the woman who played Marla, okay, after the pilot came out theatrically, I don't know why Erin Gray felt this way, but she was actually contemplating dropping out from playing Wilma, and the woman who played Marla was the second choice. They were going to bring her in until Erin Gray said, no, okay, I'm coming back, I'm doing it. And so Marla's in this episode sort of as a consolation prize, and I'm so happy she was, because as we'll be talking about, I think the actress did magnificently. I thought that the role was extremely well written. She was fun in every second of screen time. I loved her.
It was Space Karen.
Space Karen. Oh my God. Wow.
Oh, wow.
I wrote that in my notes.
Let's
You
explain
you're
it. How is it?
referencing to the beginning.
She was not in the beginning. When we get to
The casino.
Space Vegas. The casino.
Oh my God, Space Karen. Okay.
Can we talk about? Oh,
So,
Go ahead.
well, explain to me a
JT?
little bit more about what Space. Why is it Space Karen in this case?
Oh, do you want me to wait till we get to the casino? Because I think JT has something.
Okay, then we can wait. Okay, as long as you remember to explain
It's in
it.
my notes. It's in my
Okay, all right.
She wrote it down. She's going to tell us. She's not going to waste
we'll
the
get to
effort.
it. We'll get to it, Dadman.
No, because see, listen, I'm kind of like stunning here. That Space Karen was Laura Dern's character in The Last Jedi. So
Oh, geez.
yeah,
that's
her
where
too.
I'm coming from. But okay, well, let me see.
You mean potentate purple hair?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But there was one scene
that's
that we.
just-
There was a scene I think that we blew through earlier. Was that
The introduction of Cesar Romero?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I wanted to
because
touch on that.
that was a big scene there
Yeah.
where we see
That
the
was
context.
where I wanted to go.
Right, and we will. Well, let's go ahead and take it now. But basically,
That's Amos Armand, right?
Amos
Yes.
Amat. Yes, exactly.
Okay, I have to find him in my
Which is a
Exactly.
vaguely
He's-
Turkish sounding name, Ottoman Empire
Right.
sounding name, I might add.
Now,
World
see,
War
the-
One reference.
But now the thing is, we learned that he's a gangster. That he's
Syndicated crime lord.
syndicated crime lord. But he's also worked for the Veloci guy who and then we see the connections. How he's basically conned by the other guy, but he knows the secret of how to. The problem.
Actually, they were equals and in competition, but they worked together. He's worried about Veloci actually getting the code and putting him out of business.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason he's coming to Hewer is because he's terrified of this poor Felicia, woman.
Right.
And her
Mhm.
life is in peril. And I'll tell you, we'll get to it by the end. But they bloody broadcast that reveal. That was on the horizon from 10 miles hence. We could all see
Yes,
that
it
one. Even
was.
as a
Yes.
kid, I
Yes.
figured that one out. I'm sure Daisy did too.
I
It's
did
like,
as well.
Well, JT, what did you want to talk about with this scene then?
Okay. I thought the writing and the dialogue was just fine. They set him up all right. A little too much exposition here. I did find it kind of humorous that they referred to the coder as a digital coder. Okay, I don't know why digital coding is special even in the 70s. It was done.
Yes. Yeah, they called her a digital programmer, a digital coder. Yeah, I picked up on that too. Like,
Yeah.
why do you need?
I don't know. I thought that part was weird. The thing that really ruined this mysterious gentleman for me was the costume. Somebody needed to send him back to wardrobe and said, "Nah."
Please, Caesar
For
Romero
anyone
should
who
have a
didn't watch
costume like that.
He looked
For
like a
anyone who-
Russian czar.
For anyone who hasn't seen this in a long time or maybe is listening, the gentleman's wearing all black with a black cape. And if you're thinking of like what Dracula's black cape would have, that wrap that comes up around the back of the neck. I don't know what that's called, but the guy looks like a vampire with this, except for in the front, he has stainless steel polished chains and two.
Are you still talking about Amat? Are you still
Yeah.
talking Caesar's character?
Yeah,
Which-
because
It's actually a Cossack-inspired costume, which I like.
Okay.
yeah,
Well, here
it's
we
Russian.
go. This is the best that I can get at this point. But here, this is a little bit what it is.
Yeah. And the hat,
Yeah.
It's Cossack.
the hat is supposed to be a fur hat, but he's
Yes.
not wearing it firmly on his head. He has it tilted.
That's
And I
also
get
Cossack.
the thing's got to be hot as hell, but it's obviously fake fur.
But it looks
Um,
great, dude. It looks fantastic.
I thought he looked like a Russian
We'll have
czar.
differing
I thought it
opinions.
was
See,
amazing.
we're not all
Yes.
Let's
we're
let's
not
have it.
all bots. We're not all in
Yeah,
agreement here.
exactly.
We do have differing opinions. So,
No,
Andre,
I'd
what
love
do
you to
enjoy
slam it.
about it?
Well, okay. Well, you have to remember, I was training to be an illustrator when I was just under 9 years old. So I've been paying attention to all this crap from before this show started. And so when I see a costume that is so obviously inspired from a distinct cultural lens and time period, and they're bringing that into Buck Rogers, it reminds me of all the good episodes of Doctor Who I've seen. I mean, the 60s stuff and the early 70s stuff. And so this was like receiving a fresh from the oven, warm double fudge brownie from your grandmother, to me, artistically. This is comfort. This is visual comfort food, and the fact that he's wearing the Cossack hat and the high collar, and he's clearly coming from a different culture, and that is something that we often find when we're looking at cop shows regarding syndicated crime. It's generally one of three things: it's Russian, it's Italian, or it's Asian. And this was very much the case by 1979, and us kids in 1979 were already aware of it. And there'd already been, like I said, some episodes dealing with this kind of stuff on Hawaii Five-0 and Kojak. So for me, I love this. And also the costume, when you're a good costume designer, you're working with knowledge of what the actor looks like. And Cesar Romero was very well known to people, not only for Batman 66 when he played the Joker, but he also, when he was younger, back when he was in his 30s, he was a star in the 40s and the 50s. He was a sex symbol. So this guy would be an actual draw to women in their 50s in 1979. Oh, I might tune into this. Cesar Romero's on. I might remember the good old days. You know what I mean? And I think this is a very slightly debonair but very dignified costume and outfit, and I love it.
So, Hungry, I have a follow-up question for you then on this. The reason I picked on the costume or the wardrobe was because I didn't feel like the acting, the accent, the dialogue matched the wardrobe at all.
Oh, I
and
got
I
to agree
thought
with
the
you there.
wardrobe was at fault. So my question to you is, do you think that they match? Did you find problem with it? What was your critique of the overall character, I guess?
Oh, well, that's mixed. I mean, the first thing you have to understand, because I love Cesar Romero just like I love Ricardo Montalban, is that both these men had one thing in common. They refused to stray away from their own natural accent. So if Caesar had been willing to actually do a an Eastern Bloc kind of accent, I think you would have enjoyed it more. If he had worked with that costume a little bit more. But he was an elder statesman of the old school of acting at that point. And he was, a cult icon at that point. So maybe I don't know if he was too tired or thought he couldn't be bothered. But I see your point entirely, and I actually agree with your point against mine. I honestly do. But it worked for me. Daisy, you were saying? Go ahead.
I was going to say, perhaps knowing that already about Mr. Romero, why did they not possibly consider changing the outfit, the costuming, to, even if you made him, I know it's not the same accent, but even if you made him more Italian, or you tried, because this very much screamed Eastern Bloc country, Russia, and the accent very much didn't.
No.
Right.
I agree. I agree completely. And all I can imagine is it goes back to Caesar never wanting to change his accent. Maybe there's a lack of communication between him and the costume department. But see, the thing is, again, this comes from an illustration background. If you do something so clearly Cossack, it is highly recognizable. Whereas if, trying to do something Italian, I don't know if that would be that culturally recognizable. And I think it was just doing the best they could in the amount of time that was allotted to them to get this episode to air, personally. Right. But that's a guess. So, I mean, there's not a lot of information on this episode.
But I thought it was interesting how he was kind of like the background of the whole plot device. I think, you had him there to be the introductory bad guy so that you could see where the action happened at the casino later. I mean, we only see him in Dr. Hewer's office throughout the whole episode. I sort of sat there like, did this guy even go anywhere else, or did he just camp out in Hewer's office for a couple of days? Let me say goodnight to Mr. Angel.
Good night, Mr. Angel.
Good night, Mr. Angel. Got to sleep. No, don't. I'm just kidding. Have a good one.
If we can leave the costume aside for a moment, it was great, however, seeing the actor who played Dr. Hewer being allowed to come in, both guns blazing, against Cesar Romero, Amat, and the fact that they were holding their own against each other in terms of screen time. One was not upstaging the other at all, and it was a very intense scene. And we actually see a very harsh side of Dr. Hewer in this scene, where he's directly saying, "I'd be happy to see you dead. I'd be happy to see you taken out of the solar system, in prison for the rest of your life, or simply dead. And it's not worth you giving us this information until but we haven't had female agency ever before Ghostbusters 2016 until Major Marla until Major Marla points out to Hewer, wait a second, he's got information that can actually save a lot of lives. You might want to consider that.
Yeah. And towards y'all's point earlier, this is twice Stunning and Buddy both said that he refused to save his mustache to play the Joker. So obviously he wouldn't budge on an accent. So
reminds me of a certain English actor that played a French captain in another sci-fi series.
Who's actually Canadian and not English, I might add.
Does he have no hair? He has no hair.
That is correct.
But Daisy, what did you want to add?
I was going to say it also showed that not only was he going to hold his own, Hewer, and I don't like you, Armat, and I don't care if you disappear into the cosmos somewhere, but I don't care to save this woman either. If she dies, she dies. It's not my fault. It's yours.
That's harsh. Yeah.
That's something we had not prior to this. Dr. Hewer was, a more soft, cuddly,
Genteel, humane.
Genteel, yes. Not so up in your face, I don't care, let her die kind of thing. It was like, wow.
He kind of went Winston Churchill on Ahmet in this one.
It's just a bit.
Yeah.
You guys get the reference. I know Dadman does, but I know I agree with you 100%, Daisy. And it's also nice. I'm not jumping ahead, but it's also nice that we also see that kind of, okay, I got to look at the statistics, not the humanity, in the following episode that we're going to talk about. Because Hewer he's a bit brutal in the scientific realities in the following episode too.
But you know what? We do see other signs in earlier episodes, and I know that it's playing hard. Come on, go playing hardball. The Grand Farley jump. But remember in the last week we talked about how he and Dr. Theophilus had to sit down and make decisions about who would live, who would die.
Oh yeah,
things like that. So he did show some serious times but I think this is the first time we saw like then we'll kick your ass type. I don't care. I don't care if people die type thing. Which was definitely out of character for him from what we've seen.
And the actor was great because do you guys remember the moment where he's getting a little fed up with Ahmet because it's explained the crimes that Ahmet has done, and it's very clear on Dr. Hewer's face how offended he is by it. And he actually he was sitting and he gets up, puts his both hands on his desk, and leans in towards Ahmet when he's basically saying, "You can die in my office right now for all I care." And that's good acting, and people don't expect that in space opera in 1979. And I thought we were very, very lucky to receive that.
Well, let me say quick the lemon pie can't stay, but it's just a quick hello, lemon pie.
Lemon pie. Hello, Citrus. Glad to see you. I wish you were staying, but I understand.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move this on because we got another whole episode we got to get to because we jumped from all the significant stuff we've seen to the. Really, I think the fast action goes through the casino when we get over there and stuff like that. And so y'all have more stuff to pick up on about that than to me. That was just they show up, they go in. The major plays on the Veloci guy, and then he kind of suspects her to be bad all along. And then Buck busts out the girl. And then also he met Tangy, who's a waitress and wants to get out of there too. So Buck's meeting all kinds of people.
Tangy's more than a waitress, dude. That was made explicitly clear.
Yeah, very clear.
This is why the episode is a guilty pleasure. Okay, I got notes on that whole interchange at the blackjack table.
All right, well let me go ahead and I'll explain kind of what happened there, and then y'all have free reign to take this wherever y'all want to take it. So basically, he goes in, and then of course Buck and the major break the girl, break out. Is it a Fiona? What do you want to say? Felina. Break her out, get her out, and obviously they rescue her, bring her back, and then of course at the end, Marat. Surrenders at the end, so it all resolves itself at the end, but we get some smoke bomb grenades and spots and stuff and things like that. Kind of good. It's not really shoot 'em up action, but we get some explosions and stuff like that. But then again, I know you guys are going to talk about the Texas Instruments 5-pound calculator on the guy's arm. So let's start.
Wait, can I
go ahead? Yes.
Start with costuming, because JT thought that Ahmet looked like Dracula. I thought Veloci looked like Dracula.
That's in my notes too.
Yeah, that too.
When you got up on his face and he's looking straight into the camera with those eyes, I'm going, oh my God, that's Dracula.
Bram Stoker's, right?
No. No. It's actually this is before Bram Stoker's, and it's even before Werner Herzog's and Klaus Kinski's remake of Nosferatu.
It's the black and white one.
No, it's even more. It's a Christopher Lee 1958 Hammer horror to the 60s, down to the lighting and the shadows. It was completely blocked and staged exactly, in the intercuts between her face and his face, and the way he's holding her almost magnetically and hypnotically with his eyes.
Like
It's
he's hypnotizing her with the eyes.
It's Christopher Lee Dracula completely.
Okay.
And
He
Richard
kept reminding
Lynch.
I thought it.
Richard
He
Lynch.
kept reminding me of a
sorry.
Rutger Hauer type guy looking at everybody.
That's
Hungry,
Richard
I'm glad
Lynch.
we have you here to pick up on that sort of thing.
Well,
That was
I
awesome.
don't. I'm sorry, dude. I blather on too much, but I'm a pedant, and I warned you about that when we became friends. But the thing
That's
is also,
I knew it was Dracula. I just didn't know which one.
It's
'Cause I was
Christopher
thinking
Lee.
further back, because in the black and white, they would block the light above and below the actor's eyes.
that
and
was the Lugosi, yes.
Yes, Lugosi. I
But they
was
also did it
thinking
with
of him
Lee.
as well.
But then you would have Christopher Lee with a slight shadowing on the face, but then he would start speaking, and the voice would also be somnambulant, Scrabble word of the day. And so the eyes plus the voice would cause the female in question, and sometimes the men facing off against Christopher Lee's Dracula, to basically melt into submission. And that was very clear what was happening here. And also with the cape. He's wearing a cape, all right? And he's and I could do without the two V's on the neck, but also the belt buckle was a V, okay? That was a little bit much. The V, the massive V, and the V is like an arrow pointing at his crotch, okay? Come on. Come on. I know it's 79 and we can get away with stuff, but come on. And I mean, he's so reminiscent of the Dracula thing, but I wanted to back you up with that one.
Well,
but it's also the timbre of voice, and Richard Lynch had played a lot of villains by this point, and the reason his face looks so funny is because of a very unfortunate event that happened when he was a very young man. He was between 19 and 20 years old, so you might notice his skin looks impossibly smooth and plasticky, and that his earlobes actually join right into his jawline and neck. That's because he had he made a big mistake with hallucinogens, and he thought he was going through a metaphysical experience, and he set himself on fire. But he was saved, and a lot of and so you're seeing excellent plastic surgery over horrible burns. That's why his face looks like that, and that's why he has almost no eyelids, because the eyelids and the earlobes are the two things that generally go first in horrible burns above the neck, because they're basically made of fat, and fat burns first. But so this guy, and that's why his voice is so raspy, because he inhaled petrol fumes and heat. And so the fact that he became such a magnificent actor and did so many roles in the face of this is a testament to this man, his talent, his skill, and his guts. And I love him.
That's
I absolutely
amazing.
Wonderful.
I love Richard Lynch.
Buddy has talked about that out here with a couple of immediately recognizable character actor, and that he played Wolf in the Gun on Ice Planet Zero of Battlestar Galactica. So that's cool. Hey, while I've got it, we got 16 people here with us right now. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe on the YouTube side, and follow us on Twitch. But listen, thank y'all for spending your Friday evening. This many people this long with us. We have still in the first episode after an hour through. I got the great Daisy Blossom, JT Kirk, and Hungry Boy here. And the guys, like I said, I must be still naive at 53 years old, because y'all are picking up a crap that I didn't. I'm like,
wait a second. You didn't get what Tanji said to him? This will get you food and money and anything else you need. And
I didn't take it like that.
Within reason, Buck.
I'm oblivious.
And when Tanji comes over and she's all like, I need this money to pay off so I can leave. This did not.
Yes.
Or so-and-so complained, you've had X number of complaints, and if you have another one, you're gone.
Yes. She was clearly, the polite word is a courtesan. The polite word, Scrabble word, courtesan.
I missed all that. I did not make those connections.
Oh my God.
Maybe
just saying that, or do you mean
No, I'm not just saying that. I don't just say stuff, Hungry. I did not get it. Maybe it's because I'm not used to gambling cities and stuff like that.
Okay.
I have lived a very sheltered life.
By the costume.
No,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, all that stuff, I had no clue. I mean, I'm just sitting there like, okay, I took, she needed money to get a flight off the planet or something.
No, look.
Like-
The thing that makes it really clear, dude, is when the line is, what is memorable? I mean, who boy? And she says, are you sure you want to spend your money playing 10 to 11? That's a direct inference
Okay.
and implication.
All
Okay.
right.
And Buck knows exactly what she's talking about. And she's trying her best to get that money and woo him. And then she says, if you get me out of here, I will be so grateful. You have no idea how grateful I could be to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Whispering in his ear.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I
There's-
got you. See, I honestly, I mean, the stuff I learn, it's a learning experience for you guys around. I'm learning ways of the world. At least it's not like playing
Ways
Crash with
of the
Kids
world.
with the kids.
Ways
No.
of the world.
I don't know, Dadman, if you have a picture of it here from this site, but the entrance with Buck Rogers in his
Pimp
disguise.
His
Why did they
Buccaneer
dress him
pimp
up
suit.
like Han
Well, let me-
Solo? And
Well, let me
where's the
see.
Millennium
Well,
Falcon?
hold on.
Disco.
What about this? It's-
Yeah,
With the wide collars. Yeah, her. That's Tangy, all right.
yeah,
yes, it is.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
see
Her,
the
listen, her
best-
eyes are up there, okay?
This is Disco of Doom. Disco of Doom.
Yeah,
In
Disco of
space.
Doom. That is
He
such
has-
disco outfit.
But he has like the Han Solo pants, the Han Solo high boots.
Yeah.
It is very, I grant you that it's very Han Solo, but it's also Han Solo's outfit is a little bit Buccaneer, so it's very Buccaneer. Get it? Buccaneer.
Yeah.
Dad joke of the night.
Man.
Uh,
Double groans.
I have to laugh at it anyway.
Sorry, guys.
Thank you for coming, chat. We're done.
yes.
I'm here till Tuesday. Please enjoy the borscht.
Don't forget to tip your waitress. But yeah, it's just, I mean, so now we've got this aspect of it. See, and like I said, I know like Vegas is one of those Earth cities because it like called it Vegas in space. So I'm whatever. But it's interesting to hear y'all with all this stuff that was so subtle behind the scenes that I knew that there were some adult themes in it, but man, the little details and the things that they worked in it with it. But what about the
due to
gambling?
Ann Collins? That's due to Ann Collins being an excellent writer, and there's juxtaposition here too and mirroring.
Mhm.
Okay, so the thing is, Buck with the scene you're about to talk about, he's actually he doesn't double down, but the attitude, because I've been at blackjack tables, is splitting and then like doubling down.
Right.
Okay. And I've done all right at blackjack tables the 70 times I played. But see, then again, there are times when Buck later on with the action and trying to save people in this episode, he's
Right.
got strategy to take into account, and he's doubling down on the strategy. So it's
Right.
a very clever script.
Well, he's a pirate looking for booty.
Oh!
Buddy Hepburn did that one, but a Phantom Outsider said, "Hungry, you forgot to tip your service and try the veal."
No,
Now,
good one.
I'm
Phil.
But that's a great
expert.
Vegas line, though, isn't it? Though,
And
Hey.
Borscht Belt. Yes, that's Atlantic
Right.
City and all those places. Yeah, good
All
one.
right,
I'm
Phil.
no
Thank you.
expert at 10 and 11, but I don't think a Texas Instrument calculator is going to help you play 10 and 11.
Not going to help you count the cards. No, it isn't.
No.
Well, they
No,
even bring that up. They even
okay,
bring that up.
okay,
They bring up
let's-
counting cards.
let's
and
bring-
Buck says,
let's-
"No, I got a brain in my head. I don't need
Let's
to count
talk
cards."
about that. Let's talk about that for a little bit now, since we've gotten everybody excited about the adult themes of the show. But the calculator, the real geeky, nerdy stuff, the big calculator that was on the guy's wrist.
Yeah, I think I had one of those in my high school algebra class.
I was actually going to ask the panel here, was that a contemporary calculator from the time, and were
Yes.
pocket calculators invented yet, and what
They
stage
were.
were they at in size?
They
at that
were, but
point?
the pocket calculator, Daisy can confirm this. The pocket calculators would not do as much as that big chunky
Yeah.
tablet of Moses that came out of that guy's sleeve.
Well, and if you looked at it, so the calculators of that size, it wasn't flat.
No.
The readout part was raised slightly. It was obviously someone bought a calculator or mimicked one, and that's what that was.
Or the accountants on set
Yes,
had
correct.
one in the office, and they said,
They
"We're going
loaned
to
him
borrow this."
one and
But you also
stuffed it
wonder,
up
though,
his sleeve.
a good gambler is secretive and sly, but that's like, how do you miss that thing?
Well, and my other thing is, it's 500 years from now, and that's you've still got a calculator that's that big.
Yeah.
What is wrong with this picture?
But that goes back
Yeah.
to what you said at the top of the hour, Daisy. You know, I mean, we're standing outside a door and we're
yelling
through
at each
the
other,
door.
shouting at each other.
Yes.
So when I saw the calculator, I had to pause it because I was just laughing, going, "That's just a calculator." And then I went, and later I'm thinking, there's only certain games that's going to help you with.
Right.
Yeah.
And they called it a
You
computer,
know?
not a JT. They call it a computer.
They
But
did,
I mean,
they
can you
called it
imagine how
computer.
tiny computers are going to be? That whatever is the most powerful computer you or JT or Dadman has in your home right now will be the size of our thumbnail by the time the 25th century rolls around.
Well, it'll only be big enough that you need it didn't have enough keys on it to even be a computer, because it would have to have at least enough function keys. Then you need numbers, and you need at least parts of the alphabet. And I'm looking at that going, no, that's not a computer. That's a calculator.
Now,
Right.
And the really funny thing is that, you know, they state how like all the card values at the table are computer generated at random, and that's the way online poker and blackjack works now. So they did kind of see into the future accurately a little bit, but to back you up, then there's all the other stuff, and that's why this becomes a little bit of a guilty pleasure aside from the Tangy dialogue. But there's they're like various guilty pleasure aspects in this episode for which I love it in just so much.
okay, well, let's talk about that just a second. One of the things I wanted to say was, I got my, you know, one thing that did stick out to me in the Vegas scene was the escape with the smoke bombs. You know, it was very like A-Team. It was very,
It was
like, we're going to blow things up, but nobody's going to get hurt. Yeah,
you can play the music.
Yeah, we're not going to get anybody hurt. We're just going to get out of here safely. And it was just kind of interesting to see how they got out like that with nobody getting hurt and things like that.
Well, and he casually puts that weird crystal cake thing on the wall and it just sticks, and nobody,
magic crystal.
you know, it's I'm like, okay,
Daisy, it looked like a melted silicone breast implant. The things they put on the wall is gross. I wouldn't know.
Well, let me hit a couple comments that we've got out here. The TI-84 Plus is the calculator of champions. From Buddy Archer now said, to be fair, the original Star Trek got a lot of the feature wrong, mainly that they didn't expect technology to advance as fast as it did.
This is true.
Especially in the medical area.
Yes. Well, even that we have the cell phones that started as flip phones and then the cell phones, they still had communicators. Now, they did end up in Next Generation with the ones on their uniform, which made more sense than pulling one out and saying, "Quick, Scotty, beam me up." But so and I understand that these are people in the 80s, and they're trying to predict within a budget, a TV budget, not even a movie budget, what the future is going to be like, and then what the prop department can actually get a hold of and alter to make it look believable enough.
Right.
So I hear you.
Yeah. See, because then we get the Texas Instrument computer calculator that's current time at that point, not very futuristic, you know.
Nope.
So, but yeah, I that was one of the things I liked with the Escape was it just reminded me very like the 70s type shows of A-Team where nobody got hurt, it magically worked out, they got out, you know. It's a lot of so it's one of the things.
And then they only had 10 seconds, and I sat there counting.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody says that on a TV show, it, you
Yep.
know, most sci-fi people are like, okay, 10, 9, and then 20
Yep.
seconds later, you're like, your 10 seconds are up.
Yeah,
let's-
right. Your seconds were up quite a while ago. Now they
Right.
were reasonably close, depending on when you started your countdown.
Mm.
Yes.
Dadman, I
Yeah.
just wanted to bring up two really quick points before we get really to the end of the discussion of this episode.
Right.
I
yeah.
noticed, and this is for 70s kids and 80s kids, and possibly JT. Yeah, there was a lot of like seducing with booze in this episode, or what was implied to be booze. And I noticed there was a lot of brightly colored Kool-Aid in these glasses. We had lime Kool-Aid and strawberry Kool-Aid, and I remember those colors very distinctly. And the other thing, too, is you know how Veloci is very clearly a syndicated crime boss as well as Ammett, who is like holding on to people's, the modern day equivalent of holding on to someone's passport. They come to work with you and they take your passport and you can't leave until the crime boss says you can. And then you got to earn off the debt, right? That was really hardcore. But at least when he was trying to seduce Marla, he danced with her first.
Oh, it was terrible dancing, though. Come on now.
Not as bad as the pilot episode. Come on. Not as bad as the pilot episode. Well, Phantom Outsider answers y'all's. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
I did
Daisy.
think it was interesting that he was willing to. So, in the beginning, she comes off as, I'm here legitimately. And then he is threatening, basically, you won't ever leave. I'm going to find out what's going on and you won't ever leave. And I'm thinking, how many times has he done that? And the person is perfectly innocent. She's trying to pull one over on him, but that was scary. And
it was.
That was right on the edge of what would be allowed,
It was very threatening, and for people who had family work in law enforcement, I can tell you, it really sunk home. But also, as a credit to you, before I shut up, Daisy, that also goes back to the Dracula juxtaposition that you brought up, because that's Dracula. You innocently come towards him, and he's basically saying, "I'm going to sink my fangs in your neck, and you ain't leaving until I allow you to leave."
Yep.
Renfield.
Well, let's see, Renfield. So, basically, you're thinking about
the
the number.
Sorry,
go ahead, Daisy.
I was going to say the other thing is she used her real name.
Brenda, what? Why?
She used Marla, whatever her last name was.
Yes.
And I'm going, why would you do that if you're part of the Earth Directorate and you're trying to be?
Yeah.
The only thing
it seemed odd.
But James Bond, who are you? Bond, James Bond. Hey, bitch, ain't you undercover? Ain't you undercover?
Yeah, but the girls, you cannot tell me that any parents on the planet named their daughter Octopussy. Come on.
But also,
I mean,
come
it's
on now.
possible.
I mean, Daisy, you and I don't know if you ever been to certain types of dance clubs, but there are a lot of women who have their club name and then what's on their driver's license. You know what I mean?
And so why didn't she have her club name that wasn't on her driver's license?
That bugged me so much, Daisy.
If she really wanted him to go away, she would have said her name was Rose Tico.
Ow! Oh, JT,
why would you do that? JT.
I'm glad Nolan went out getting scolded tonight, but hey, all right. So, hey,
good old
we're all
fashioned
having
work.
fun and craziness tonight. This is what happened in backstage earlier. So Archie Collins said we had a Sinclair level, a Sinclair series of calculators here. I remember being allowed to use one for my Maths O level, but having to say what model and could only use the basic functions, including square root.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were only allowed to use specific models. And the teacher checked them, and they could only be used on certain parts of the test.
It was implied there was a certain square root happening between Buck and Tangy at the end of the episode since she was waiting in his apartment. However, we'll never know.
Right. He was just being friendly with her. She needed a place to stay. You know?
Well, she was technically homeless. She was technically homeless when she escaped.
He's very
needed a couch. Just needed a couch for the night. That's all.
No, he would sleep on the couch, give her the bedroom, like a gentleman would do,
Right.
So,
Well, that actually brings a question for all of you for up until now in the episode. Do you get a sort of a decent naughty humor but good old fashioned Midwestern guy vibe from Buck? Like he can be
Yes.
naughty, but he's kind of he's kind of like a Kansas boy, like dead center of America kind of guy.
Yes, but I also
Chivalrous.
wrote in my notes at the end of the episode, you had Deering was there giving him a hard time because he had these very attractive but questionable intelligence level in the back, and you could tell Buck was just smiling all the way back to Earth. Like,
How
oops,
you phrase that?
I breed these two. Yeah, I'm a great guy.
I'm a great guy.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I did it, because I'm a great
Yes.
guy.
Yeah, and everybody knew, and Wilma just kind of looked at him, and I loved that at the end. It made me laugh.
But that's the thing that I had the biggest trouble trying to figure out between Wilma and him is like, what is her story with this whole relationship? I know relationships can be dramatic, even friendships can be very dramatic. You got to do all these things, but she always looks at him like she wants to jump him or looks at him longingly, and then it's like the next thing she's just like the drinking buddy. It's like,
yeah, but that's TV. They don't
Yeah.
want to get them together too quickly
Hmm.
for either the male or the female audience that's watching. They want them to play these cutesy little word games with each other, but they don't. It's kind of like, did you ever watch oh gosh, it was they were hunting like aliens and supernatural and two
X-Files?
people. It's a thank you,
Gillian
the
Anderson?
X-Files.
Yeah. Gillian
Yes,
Anderson
yes.
and David Duchovny,
Right.
Fox and Mulder. Yes.
Correct. People were very invested in that relationship because they didn't get together. And eventually, when they did finally do so, people kind of went, oh, okay.
The ratings went down, in fact.
Yes. So
Because
I think
the
part of
term
it is
you're
the
using-
TV
sorry.
knows. I'm sorry.
Well, it's actually an informal / formal term in production and screenwriting. They call it the will I, won't I. Will they, won't they? And so while there's a chance, when you have the audience panting at the chance of seeing the culmination of a potential romance, they tune in. But the moment two people get together, or worse yet, they actually get married, then the ratings drop off. So the idea is in a show to keep the sexual tension going all the way to the end when you know there's going to be 2 episodes until your series gets canceled. The problem is a lot of times the series gets canceled before we get that culmination, and then we get really, really, really pissed off because we never saw it happen. And I still wanted to see Wilma and Buck having a will you marry me moment.
right.
Yeah.
I admit that.
Let's see.
Spoilers.
Wilma had too much
Sorry.
jump Buck, strangle Buck.
My impression.
Well,
That's
let me go
nice.
ahead and let me catch a couple of these real quick, and we'll get
That's
that.
good.
The sexual
Ooh, that's
tension is what they
good.
want as a consummated
Mhm.
interest falls. Same happened in Moonlighting.
Oh,
Oh,
Moonlighting.
Masters
Yes,
apparently was
Mrs.
gone because of the internet. So, all right, cool. Yeah, they
Mrs.
did it.
Absolutely.
All right, okay, go ahead, JT. Sorry about that. We got 15 people
Oh,
here.
sure.
Smash that like button and all, folks. Okay, JT, you got the floor.
Oh. Daisy, my impression of what Wilma is to Buck is kind of like a money penny kind of a thing.
Mm.
Because there's
Okay,
always
explain that. Okay, before you do that,
Sure.
help somebody like me that does not know that term. That's Bond, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay, help me understand where you're going with that.
James Bond always had kind of like the secretary, personal assistant / on again, off again. They seem like they're in love, kind of thing, and she's
Moneypenny
always waiting for him.
Moneypenny was the secretary to Q,
Yes.
Bond's
Oh,
boss.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not doing a great job explaining it. But she always loved James, it seemed like, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she
yeah.
did.
And
she made.
she put up with his escapades time and again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was always a thing, is James going to retire and settle down with her? And so she was like the responsibility, the good woman, the one to have the family with. And James always ended up being the unserious one. And she would crack jokes in some of the movies. Oh, James, another one of these women that you're having a dalliance with, kind of a thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and Fanny's right. The difference is Moneypenny never went on any of James' adventures.
He never asked her to, but he wouldn't be allowed to because she had to stay there for Q. And also, James would never put Moneypenny in danger. Never.
Right.
To be fair, there's an undercurrent where it's very clear that James views some people as expendable and other people as not. And that's what makes him a savage but beautiful character.
Yes, you're right. It's M's secretary, not Q's secretary.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Yeah.
But
Q was the tech guy, M was the
parallel.
boss. Right. Sorry.
Yes.
Between the two.
Yes, I agree.
And that went kind of into my notes. This casino really felt like James Bond. Maybe a combination of Casino Royale and I guess Goldfinger.
Yeah, Goldfinger. But also he plays Baccarat. In I believe I'll be corrected if I'm wrong, but there's also gambling in Thunderball, and it's very clear that the Sean Connery version of Bond, and to a lesser extent Roger Moore's, is a very experienced gambler, but he's not addicted to gambling, and there's a difference.
And I love this episode because of the Bond parallels there.
Right.
Tons of them.
All right. Well, any other thoughts that y'all have on this episode in your notes that we have not covered? I want to make sure y'all get a chance to cover everything that we wrote down, made notes of, and while y'all look at your notes, I'd say, because this has been a common comment out in the chat, is when characters finally get together, it fundamentally changes the dynamic and the chemistry. One of the shows that I saw that with, it actually worked, I think, a bit, but it did change. It was Psych. When the fake Psych and the detective got together, it was such dramatic, and it gave you some drama. But then of course when it happened, and it's like, okay.
It also happened with Castle.
Right. Castle is, I think that was another one.
The guy from Firefly. And then Stanya Katic played the
Bones and Castle. Yes. Buddy had talked about that very thing there too. So.
Yeah. Also with Bones. Yes. And
yes, Bones.
I mean, I followed every episode of Bones, and I followed every episode of Castle, and I have to admit, there's something that happens when the two characters finally get together, and the screenwriters seem to not know what to do. Maybe they're not married. Maybe they don't know how to keep a marriage going once the ring is on the finger, and the romance going, but they don't know what to do, and suddenly the characters become boring, and therefore the ratings drop.
Yeah, stunning. I kind of thought our Castle too for half a second, but
so did I.
Television Castle. But because
that's TV show.
But you're right. You are right about that. That it does, it does seem to change something, and not necessarily for the best. It's like there's a big, huge letdown, and can you get that win back? But I also think there's a danger of teasing a lot of romance stuff, because you can only take that teasing for so long before it's either crap or get off the pot,
Right.
So, and it's
it depends on the writers and how well they.
Yeah, I do agree with Phantom Outsider here. He said the most successful sitcom that was able to continue after got the character together was Big Bang Theory. With 12 years. So
we're not allowed to say that, or Klobby will kill us.
It's okay.
I didn't watch it.
That's okay. But hey, Big Bang was pretty good. Then it got kind of weird near the end. So, but
I know.
But to y'all's point, to let y'all know, anything else about Vegas in space?
One final thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like to try to investigate the motif that comes up with naming on this show. The Draconians. We had that river that was used for the food planet the other week, and now Sinaloa. And Sinaloa for, I guess, people in the U.S. You're familiar with it, but maybe others aren't. It's a state in Mexico.
No, I had no idea. Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, Sinaloa. And so
Wow.
I was wondering, okay, are they using Sinaloa in Mexico, which is in northwest Mexico? It's on the Pacific side. It's where a lot of the drug cartels, modern times, are from and all that. But I was wondering, and maybe somebody could help me, was that a gambling destination in the 70s, or was Sinaloa just a play on Sin being Sin City, Vegas, that whole thing?
You're a sinner, then you are lower.
I don't remember, although I don't remember seeing it on the news. Yeah, that the Sinaloa cartels were as well known to the general populace in the 70s as they are now.
Right on, Daisy.
I did think that, like Dr. Theopolis called it, an orbital city of moral depravity. And then I was thinking that Sinaloa was a take on Sin City, but without knowing what they were thinking, I don't know. So, but I don't think, Hungry, were you here in the U.S. then? Do you remember the cartels being that well known in the 70s? Because I don't.
I was bouncing back and forth between the countries.
Okay.
I refer to myself as a trans-Pacific ping pong ball. And the thing is that no, unless you lived near the border, it was not brought up. Now, if you were in southern Arizona or southern New Mexico, you might hear about that stuff. But if you were in the San Francisco Bay Area or even San Diego or Santa Cruz or Sacramento, that's a big, huge stretch of California. No, you weren't hearing about that stuff. So, I mean, I would like it to be what JT is describing very much. I would like it to be that smart. And that's now, although I never use headcanon, this will be my first time using it. It's now my headcanon. That's what
actually,
the choice
I kind of like it because I did recognize it, like JT did. I went, oh, the Sinaloa cartel. But then I went, well, that wouldn't have been a big thing.
I'd never heard of it.
I reverted to Sin City. Yeah.
And see, I didn't see it written. So I thought it was like CYNALAOA. I thought it was something more exotic.
Started with an S. It started.
Yeah, it is better with an S. Absolutely.
I think it was SINO. No.
I looked it up on the IMDb and it was very different. It was very different.
Yeah, it was an odd
as
spelling.
written in the chat. As the chat wrote, it was how it was on the IMDb.
But, okay.
But to back you up, you and JT own this one. You totally own it.
No, it was his idea. Because I went with Sin City.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts? Any other points on this episode before we okay.
Masters. Sorry, David. Masters and Phantom Outsider. There we go.
As a fact, cartels came up here after the death of Pablo. It was by the end of the 80s. Before that, all this happened in Colombia. Yep, we remember that.
Okay.
So
yeah, that would have been after the
80s.
show was filmed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got 15 people with us tonight. So thank y'all for being here. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe. I got the great Daisy Blossom Hungry and JT Kirk. And guess what? We are still on the first episode of the night. So thanks for being here. And listen, all this wonderful talk and debate and everything. Daisy, did you have something else on that one?
No, I'm done.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got rolling and couldn't stop. But hey, listen, thanks everybody for being here tonight. I'm
just glad Tangi had a happy ending, and I'm not saying that sarcastically or ironically,
exactly.
Because that was basically some stuff that's going on in certain parts of the world, as I mentioned, where some people go someplace and they are held against their will, and that really. Oh, that's like if I was a 25-year-old, they say, "Oh my God, that triggers me. I needed a trigger warning." It bothers me that much. So to have everyone have a happy ending, except for except for Felicia. I mean, that's the one thing I wanted to add at the end. Okay, that was supposed to be a big shock that Cesar Romero's character was her father, but I think to all of us it was dreadfully obvious from the get-go. But it was a satisfying conclusion when he explains, hey, I just didn't want to put your life in danger. Your mom and I had an agreement. And so the whole episode wrapped up nicely in a tight little bright pink bow, and that's fine.
Well, except for her, for that one character, but I think it also shows you don't have to have a clean, happy ending necessarily for every single person, every single body. The episode ended. It did. Not everybody needs a backstory. Not everybody needs the thing. It was a nice ending for most people, like you said, except for her, though. But you could,
she has no job, but
they at least justified why she. They at least justified
why he needed her saved.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, why he wanted her saved. She was. I will say she was overacting, though.
Please elaborate, Daisy. Please elaborate.
Oh God, she was screaming and yelling and grabbing her hair and picking up stuff off desks and chucking it on the floor. And I'm going, "How old are you?" I mean, I understand it's upsetting. You got kidnapped, but at some level, the overacting was just a bit much.
That's the Hammer horror thing, Daisy. I don't, have you seen more than 2 of the Hammer Dracula movies with Christopher Lee? The overacting in Hammer films, that is Hammer horror. They were tributing Hammer horror, I promise you, mixing it with James Bond. So they and Glenn A. Larson is Glenn is notorious for ripping stuff off. And so I think it was honestly a Glenn ripoff, and she was probably directed to act that way.
Well, I figured she was directed to act that way, because if she just did that on her own, I would hope that the director would go, no, sweetie.
You're just saying the director was an idiot. You're just saying the director was an idiot. Okay, I got you, Daisy.
No, I didn't say that either. I said they made a choice, a directorial choice.
And it was the wrong one.
I don't have to like it.
And it was the wrong one.
But Daisy, I agree with you. It was overacted.
Yeah.
But I would rather take overacted and practical effects over Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman on a green screen talking about sand.
Sand.
Okay. Or sitting in a grass field.
Yeah, it was similar to Kylo going bananas, taking out the poor control panel with his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
A 2-year-old tantrum. So, all right. Well, let's. Unless y'all have any other final points with this one, not necessarily a grading or anything like that, but how did you overall? What did you think of the episode by standalone as an episode, JT? Overall,
I loved it.
Oh, cool, awesome.
Yay!
No more, no less. I loved it.
All right, hungry.
Ditto with JT. I loved it. It's one of my favorite episodes, although I do recognize how sleazy it is under the surface, but we have to forgive that. It's Vegas in space. It's in the title. It's truth in advertising.
Okay. Daisy?
I liked it.
Okay. There you go.
Probably not as much as they did, but I did like it.
Yeah. I think I was oblivious to a lot of the back undercurrents, but overall I thought it was a pretty good episode. I liked it. Probably not. I'm probably more where you are, Daisy, with this one than I am the other two. But then again, I'm a nice gentleman. I'm not a skullduggerous little guys like these guys. So. Sorry. Love you guys. I gotta. But hey, I
say what you will when you need transport off this rock. You know who you're going to.
I really did Daisy because Daisy's got connections. I just don't realize it. But hey. All right,
Daisy, he's making me feel like Lampwick to his Pinocchio, and you know what I mean.
Oh.
I didn't give anybody a cigar. I didn't give anybody a mug of beer.
That is true.
Oh my gosh.
I will back you up to that.
Thank you, Daisy.
You guys,
Save me from the mean banana man.
This has been a crazy night, folks. Folks, we were not kidding when we were talking about in the back room. It was like it started
No, we were not.
No, we were not.
It started off the track, and now, hey, y'all stay with us. Bring your drunk donkeys, dogs, neighbors, cats, wives, all that sort of stuff.
Drunk
Everything.
donkeys.
Just,
What?
I'm sorry. I'll have to explain that. That's another streamer somewhere, but
That's a Tijuana joke, man. Don't go there.
Anyway, but
Wow.
bring the polar bears, bring the aardvarks, bring the sheep, bring the arts, bring the bananas, everything else you can think of. We're going to have fun tonight. So, oh my God. So,
and hit the like button.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. So we've had up to 20 people here at one time. So, hey, thank you. Wait, I hate sand. That's after the break. Elo Unchained Woman Desert Prison. That Android guard did not like sand at all. Yep. Well, we'll see those coming up. All right. Next episode with 12 people here watching with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Man, how do we get our breath after that first episode? Well, we get it by going a little old school. We get that's our second episode of the night, which is Return of the Fighting 69th. Yes, it is. The old veteran veteran group returns. Oh gosh. So Archer Collins says, and now we get to Buck Rogers' Mission Impossible.
Dun, 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 dun. Sorry.
I'm so glad y'all have musical ability because I have none. So this episode we see where the large space freighters flying towards the planet Necrosis. Necrosis is a massive asteroid belt where this, it's very packed, very dangerous area. The ship has been stolen from Earth, and Wilma and Buck are in pursuit along with two cadets, Clayton and Westlake, that were still being trained. Which, if we see that Buck, because of the rawness of the two rookies, when he, like it says, when he tells them stay off communications. So basically, she orders a small group to accelerate, but they are jumped by 4 Scorpion-class fighter craft emerging from the belt. 2 of the Scorpion fighters are shot down, but the cadets recklessly plunge into the asteroid belt and promptly slam into one of the mammoth rocks, destroying them both. So when Buck and Wilma return to Earth, the freighter reaches Necrosis 4, a base operated by gunrunners and a small army. So we see one of the gunrunners entering the quarters has a mute slave girl named Alicia, who hides a memory globe containing imagery of her family. We find out later she was kidnapped from Earth many years ago. So she's, the slave girl's ordered to brush her hair. We see those things that happen like that. And basically, we see the metallic appendage that is now her hand, which is a result of combat with Colonel Deering 3 years earlier when the ship was hit and fire mutilated her husband and fellow gunrunner Commander Corliss, which we will see in which we see his injuries later on that are more facial. When Roxanne notices Alicia staring, she grabs the servant girl, seething with anger and thinking her slave was smiling. So basically, what we have with this episode is, it's like another spy mission, but they have to go destroy this base because it's a threat to Earth because of this bomber. So with the depleted Earth Defense Forces, lack of pilots, they bring out the old veterans from the old Fighting 69th Space Marines and to train them to take out this base. I'm being very general, so I don't bore you with all the details because we'll fill it in here with the discussion. What we have is a bombing mission, but we see a lot of friction. We get the introduction of Wilma to Noah, who was actually her trainer, and basically made the decision that he could not fly any longer, grounded him many years ago, and along with the rest of the group. And we see the friction of that going back and forth throughout this until they are recruited, allowed in the mission, and back and forth. Buck and Wilma get captured. The base gets bombed. Buck and Wilma escape, and then there's a reunion at the end, which I'll hold off on the reunions at the end till we move through the course of our discussion. So, with that as a starting point and kind of a quick off synopsis of this episode, let us take into it. Hungry Boy, what are your initial thoughts on this episode?
All right. So when I mentioned earlier this week a mixed bag of nuts, this is what I was talking about. The episode for me is very much a mixed bag of nuts. And sometimes you are partial to almonds or cashews, and sometimes you just get a lot of peanuts thrown in. And that's this episode for me on a lot of levels. Now I got to say, because I'm not only the science fiction guy here alongside JT and Daisy, but I'm also junk science fiction addicted. I like the B movies of Roger Corman. So we got Peter Graves here, and Peter Graves was in 3 very, very important science fiction films. I'm only going to list 2 of them.
Okay.
One is Red Planet Mars, and the other one starred the Vlasic pickle of doom from Venus, known as It Conquered the World, and he played the hero in that.
Yes.
And MST3K, you saw the
Yep.
episode. You
Yep.
know, I mean, Crow even says, it's a Vlasic pickle. And it's one of my favorite moments in MST3K. Made me bust a gut laughing. And Peter Graves, he's trying so hard throughout that entire film. But by the time we get him here, it's really shocking, okay? Because he is actually, when he made this episode of Buck Rogers, he is more than 2 years younger than I am now. And he looks like 15 years older than I am now. So I'm sure as hell not adopting whatever diet he was using at the time. But the situation is that he kind of phoned it in. And he was integral to this, except when they were doing the soap opera parts. And there's a lot of soap opera in this, and I don't like soap opera in my space opera. You know, this is the opposite of Reese's peanut butter cups. This is one case you don't want the chocolate getting in the peanut butter. And on the other side of it, for the overview, this was a very, very comic booky episode versus James Bondian versus World War II. So I did really like that aspect of it. Our villainous duo were perfect as comic book space opera villains, and they're both very established actors in their own right. One playing Corliss and the other one playing Roxanne. And the guy who played Corliss, I just want to say, has some horror movie creds. And it's funny that Daisy had brought up the Dracula thing earlier. He actually played one of the greatest vampires in cinematic history. He played Count Yorga, vampire, which was so popular in 1970, and this is very rare for 1970, it got a sequel. The Return of Count Yorga, and then he was also in another sequel in horror in the 1970s, Dr. Phibes Returns. And Dr. Phibes, plays by Vincent Price, is one of my all-time favorite horror characters. So the guy who plays Corliss, he's got genre cred, as we say. So he and for people who don't know, he's the guy with the burn scars on his face in this episode. And it's just amazing to see him chew the scenery. I think he chewed the scenery equal to Jack Palance in the previous episode that we were reviewing. And it just really made the episode very, very special in many ways. But the whole thing with the 69th, there was a lot of soap opera from the moment they're introduced. They're explained before they're introduced. There's exposition before we even get to the characters. And that bugged me as a kid. It bugs me now.
Okay. All right. JT or Daisy, anybody wants to follow up on Hungry's points there? Or do you have your own points, initial thoughts?
Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to hear from you about the asteroid belt being called necrosis, and they being burn survivors with necrotic tissue. I was wondering if that was an inference. But I liked the fact that you don't just put aside old people, that aspect of it, you know, just because I'm 85 doesn't mean you have to just put me behind a desk. and that your knowledge is no longer useful, even though in this episode they actually redesign a ship they're familiar with for this specific mission. So, you know, so you don't just put your old people out to pasture. The other part of it that I was very involved in would be the young lady who was deaf, because part of my training is I fluent in American Sign Language and have worked with deaf children. And so some of what was going on around her and how she was being treated and was just, I was having some difficulties with how they were trying to be progressive in the 70s to have this actress and let her sign rather than speak. But it was still some of the way they talked about her was annoying to me. But that's the 21st century, 2023 me, as opposed to, you know, in 1979. I assume in 79, I still would have liked to have seen more of her signing. And Buck gave up signing really quick, which was amusing. But that's, so I had.
But didn't somebody make a comment that he was signing to her though?
He was.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that Gil Gerard, they only taught him, like, it was quite obvious they only taught him a few basic, very basic things to sign. And then he started speaking to her. Mm-hmm. So she was lip reading. I mean, that's a thing. But for him to say he learned to do it because his friend worked with, what did he call them? Because you do not call children this. I'll find what he exactly said. But he said his friend was a teacher and handicapped kids. His friend was a teacher of handicapped kids. And I'm going, that's not what you call them. And if
but
you
it
were
was in
going
79.
on,
it was in
79. Yeah, see, so that's where I had issues. And I had to keep telling myself in 79, that's what they would have said. And they did. And it was nice that they had her in it at all. They did not have to. So I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I had two different things. So it was, I kind of liked the idea that you don't just put the old people out to pasture. And I did have a different take on kind of how we treat people who have a disability we're unfamiliar with.
Okay. JT?
Yeah, so I looked at the title of this and said, where are they getting this thing from? And a lot of this, I just did not really care for a number of things in the episode. So I stepped back for a second and said, okay, there's something going on here. And the 69th, well, so here, there's two possible sources that I could think of why they called the episode the way that they did and why they wrote everything the way they did. The first is there's a 1940 film called The Fighting 69th, the same exact title. In that, it's the 69th Infantry Regiment that dates back to the to an Irish regiment formed in New York in the American Civil War. Okay. From there, I believe it's still an active unit in the New York National Guard today. The movie takes place in World War I, and it follows, I guess, roughly the same plot. It doesn't have any of the elder issues or the servant issues or anything like that. But the sacrifice made by the main character in that 1940 movie is very similar to the sacrifice that's made to make sure that the mission succeeded in this one. And it was bombardment in that movie as well as in this TV show. So there were a number of overall kind of parallels in the plot there. The second possible source is the 69th Bomb Squadron from the U.S. Army Air Corps / the United States Air Force. That unit is from right around the beginning of World War II. They were deployed to the Southwest Pacific, did some coordination with the Australians, actually, from what I was reading in some work there. After World War II, they converted over from B-26 medium bombers to B-36 Peacemakers, and then the B-52. So this episode has bombers in it. It's an eagle symbol for the unit. Now, they're not Marines. I didn't understand why they picked them to be Marines in this episode, but hey, to me, I thought, okay, well, they're either borrowing from the movie or they're borrowing from the 69th Bomb Squadron, being that they're flying these bombers in. Okay. Either one of those made me kind of respect what they did in the episode a little bit more than the episode itself. So I'm not going to share everything I think about the episode now, but if people were looking for some context, and we know that they pick names for a reason on this show, I could not find information or an interview or anything. Why did they pick the name for this specific episode? But it may be one or the other or both of those two sources.
Your statement makes the most sense. So you are my headcanon guru now.
Fair enough.
That's
I
good.
accept the challenge.
There you go. Well, hey, listen, y'all are so much more knowledgeable and well articulate about this than I am. My initial thoughts was that I didn't get all those connections in some of those ways that y'all did. I thought it was a very emotional episode in some ways, between the young kid and the old veterans, and between Wilma and the veterans, because Wilma, we find out, was the one that benched everybody. She took away the eagle wings,
But she had to. That's established right at the
But
bat.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad.
I'm getting mushy. I'm sorry.
I know.
It brings up mushy feelings.
No, what I'm saying. That's what I've said. That's why I'm saying it was an emotional episode. You're getting all this stuff. You're hitting off right at the beginning. I like here. She shows up at the birthday party because Ewart says, you will ask them. So she goes to do it. But then again, the old memories come up really quickly. He's snarky. She's like justifying her. It's really, and I believe it. It was well acted. I thought it was well written. It really conveyed a lot of emotional tense tension right there between actually the whole squadron and Wilma. And then you got Buck just also, kind of on the side, like trying to.
As we said earlier, I just wanted to say, this is again 2 episodes in a row where we're seeing Hewer being shown to be being capable of being, I hate to use this term, a bit of a bastard, compared to the way Wilma feels about it.
Right. Exactly. And see, and I, like you said, I understand that Phantom Outsider. I understand that. And but I'm looking at it from their standpoint too. Like, how many times in real life we're told and we think we can keep doing something, and some of us really can keep doing it. It's a gut punch. No matter how much somebody justifies something to you, it is a gut punch when somebody says, well, you can't do that anymore, or you have something taken away from you, and I really started emoting with these characters right at the beginning because of that. You're useless, and I understand all the practical standpoints. I understand all physical requirements. That's not the point. The point is what's happening, what they're feeling. So I made the connection to them, probably more emotionally than maybe you did or JT, or because when I emote with a character, I really start to feel with them. And
no. My reaction is completely emotional. What's going to happen? I wouldn't want my grandfather at 85. He's a veteran. I wouldn't want him going out to battle.
Right. Well, what's going to happen with me? But see, these guys felt like they could still do it. They still felt that they had the ability to do it. Because like he said, my lack of peripheral vision, Wilma? You want me now?
The hat.
Yeah, and it's like, so you want me now, but I can't do that. There's a lot of stuff like that happens, and see, to me, what I was saying with emotional is when I started getting with emotional character, I'm going to emote with them. I'm going to stay with them and like them. So I can't wait to say what I think about this episode when we get towards the end. But those are just some initial thoughts I had. Yes,
just to kind of counter that,
okay.
I could definitely go to a college bar and feel like I'm those 85-year-old guys. Right?
Oh, I could all the time. Yeah,
absolutely.
What did not land for me was one, they had all the ranks wrong for these people, because if they were pilots, they would be officers, not sergeant and all this. They would be commissioned officers.
I understand that.
Two, if you talk to any pilot in the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, they know there's a mandatory retirement age and there's strict physical testing that you have to pass to be flight worthy. And most of those pilots say, I'm going to be in the Air Force or the Navy this long, then I have this whole second career plan. A lot of them go to commercial flight, whether that be flying passengers or cargo or whatever they're doing, right? So the fact that these people thought that they would just never hit the mandatory retirement age or be able to keep doing it after that, I was kind of taking Buck's thing on this. Like in Wilma, I totally sided with Wilma on this, and so it kind of ruined a lot of it, because I was like, you have to be retired out.
Here's a couple of the things. But there's a couple of things though too. I'm willing to suspend reality in a lot of my entertainment. I didn't get hung up on names and things like that. I understand what you say. I understand all the points that you make there too. I think that they were not yet at forced retirement age. I think that came up in this episode. But there's also, remember, Earth's defenses was very short. They didn't have much to choose from. We just saw where the inexperienced pilots crashed into the asteroid belts and stuff. And I to Phantom Outsider's point, at one point they were the best of the best, but with the state of Earth Defense Forces, they were the best of what was left.
Oh, beautifully put.
Sometimes you have to go, and that's where I try to look beyond all the technical real life stuff and things like that, because like at this stage, they knew they needed somebody with experience. And how would you like to be told you're too old to do this, too old to do that? But then, oh, well, guess what? We need you all of a sudden. And I thought that this episode really did a lot with the emotional baggage between the two, the tension and the conflict. And they really did it really well. Yeah, those other side things are, those are reality things. But, but when I look at it, the point is, and sometimes when I get emotionally connected with the character or involved in something, I look past all the reality stuff, the things like that, because it's just the way I look at things. And, but I think that this is one of the points that also, because at what point do you use whatever assets and resources you have? But then again, the thing is, how would you react if you're the one that's been told you're useless, that you're too old, you can't do this, and it may have been for valid reasons, but then all of a sudden, hey, we need you, or like you're all we got left. It's like
perhaps I was being too cynical with what I was saying, Dadman. But
no, you're fine. No, it was good. It was good.
I also take it from a cynical perspective that they wanted to attract an older audience from kids, right? They wanted the generation that fought in World War II. That's why they said, oh, we'll just put a turret in the back and then we'll train a little bit. Well, a lot of people in World War II would identify with, we'll put a turret in the back and we'll improvise. And the whole Doolittle raid against Japan, they jury-rigged those bombers to even make it there, right? So there's a lot of that. Remember from the war when you were like this, and a lot of those folks were too old to still serve in the military. It was after Vietnam when this show came out, and those World War II vets were starting to age. So if you're trying to attract that group, play that up to them. And maybe that's a really cynical way of looking at it.
No, It's
But,
not cynical.
No.
I need to back you up, JT. I need to back you up because one of the major things that was happening in television at the time, and you're a bit young to know this, is that television, you're not being cynical, but television
Mhm.
production companies and studios and networks were very cynical, and that's not on your shoulders. And they knew that the one demographic you could really rely on, this is why Archie Bunker was so successful in All in the Family, are people whose lives were physically kind of over, and so they stayed at home a lot. And so if you could hook them on an episode, you'd get good ratings because they were not going out for dinner with somebody. They were not going out dancing. They were not going to the drive-in. They were at home with their television set. And that was often taken into account. So I don't think you're being cynical at all. I think you are recognizing the cynicism of others.
Okay.
No,
Well, thank you for that context. That's great. Thank you.
Yes, well, and exactly, and there's nothing wrong with being cynical either. I mean, you raise good points, and so.
But I could see your side of it too, Dadman. Like,
yeah,
I totally can see where you're coming from too.
Well, see, and that's as a personal thing too. It's a personal the way I do it. I've always been if you can make the emotional connection with me, I will buy along. I will suspend belief. I mean, like I said, I am used to taking a chance on things that people don't like. The Marvels movie, I was okay, but then again, neither am I into all the lore of a lot of stuff that a lot of people, could be an insult or take to, and sometimes the things can, I have different ways of looking things. So, because I'll hold off for a little bit longer on what I think with this episode, but yeah, I love this discussion tonight, folks. Hey, I think this
it ain't no echo chamber. It ain't no echo chamber.
And that's the one thing
isn't.
I don't want echo chambers. I want people to say what they want to, and we can have fun with things.
I mean, from your side of things, now I'm seeing everybody's side of things, and I don't like my own bloody hell. But
stick to your point.
But like this also brings up something. I've had teachers in my family, and I've had veterans. My grandfather was technically a World War II hero in the Pacific arena, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a part of me that would jump at the throat of anyone who said, okay, even when he was 80, 85 years old, if he saw a street fight, he could jump in and probably clean the clocks of people who were in their 20s, right? And I would rage at anybody who could say my grandfather couldn't do that. But I would want the right to say, Granddad, you're not going to do that. You got to get home all right tonight. You got family. Right. So emotionally, I was very torn by this episode. And then you look at teachers who, if they suffer a mandatory retirement, even if they're 85 years old, there are some people who are still smarter at 85 than some people at 67, depending on how they've handled their own lifestyle and their own personal health. And Daisy might know some people who should, if they wanted to, continue teaching algebra or continue teaching English literature by the time they're 85, but they get forced out.
Right. But I still, and with this one, with the context is we know the situation on Earth, very thin defenses, and there's always counterpoints to every little thing that we gotten with this. And this is a huge issue for that episode. We see that. We also have the slave issue again.
I hate that. I hate that.
It seems to be a recurring thing in some of these early episodes, though.
And abduction, too. I mean, there's one thing that really I cannot stand abduction or kidnapping. Back in the days when we had TV guides and they used to honestly describe an episode as something, if they'd say, so-and-so is kidnapped and at risk of being a slave for the rest of their lives, like hell, I'm watching that.
Yeah.
No.
I probably wouldn't either. It's just too unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's sad. Coming from a background of Star Trek, which was trying to be utopian about the future, we've gotten past those kinds of things. And then you're watching this and going, okay, so they think 500 years from now. I get it. There are other planets, but we're still doing that. Can't we get past that?
I know.
And I don't derive entertainment from it. Like kidnappings and involuntary workers and all of this, I don't derive any
Yeah.
type of entertainment from that
And
at all. It's one thing to watch a
psychological-
movie
Sorry.
where that's like the central focus and you're not meant to feel good or laugh during that movie, right? And it's it's a historical experience. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's like Sophie's Choice. But I mean, there was, this is supposed to be space opera or science fantasy, and the constant psychological torture and abuse of Alicia was driving me batty in this as a kid. And now I couldn't hack it. I just really couldn't hack it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just, I mean, maybe y'all know a little bit more. Well, JT, he's the baby of the group, but it just seemed like the 70s. I'll be honest, in Daisy and Hungry, y'all, it seems like to me, and I did not get into a lot of the crap my family liked, Billy Jack and all these different shows and all this stuff. And it just seemed like television in the 70s was like brutal. It was like, oh my God, it was like everybody was trashed, pillaged, or I'm just trying to find creative words to say, but basically it was such a bleak period of everybody's life and stuff. And it's like it was shown, I mean,
Kojak, dude. Kojak,
it was just like to the point
episodes.
where it was just to the point where, like, you know, but it was done so much that it was just talked about so flippantly. It was just like, there we go, there, this episode, you know, to whereas nowadays we handle a little more kid gloves or you know, but it just seemed like entertainment back then, even though they could do it right, and I really think, like in this case, it really did it in a way where it did not overdo the situation. They kind of made it clean. I hate to say clinical, but still they hit the topical theme. But a lot of times in the 70s, it was like, just seemed it was like all the time the same themes and stuff like that you couldn't get away from. Hungry or Daisy, does that make sense? Or yeah, I mean,
100%.
y'all disagree. Okay, y'all can disagree.
No,
if you
I'm
want
agreeing
to.
with you. You've gone from bad Banana Man to good Banana Man. I applaud you.
Well, because see, I didn't like a
Okay.
lot of stuff my family liked watching because I'm like, why? I'm like, why? Why do you want to put the stuff? Now, I think that stuff was not like this. I think that this, I did not pick it up like the rest of y'all, and everybody's mileage varies. It depends how they do with this issue. Not that I blow off the issues. It's just I did not take it as emotionally hard as y'all did necessarily here, but. Yeah, I am aware that a lot of the TV back then were just very, you know, but like we also have to look back. That's the way it was in the 70s too.
Yes, and there's a lot. Daisy, you go first, please. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm typing.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to go and then you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, both in Wombat Land and the United States, the thing is there were very heavy economic crises, plural, going on at the time. A lot of families were being squeezed. Some families were having to leave their homes. We were just coming out of the bloody Nixon era, and we had an equivalent era here in Australia that I don't want to go into because it's a pure distraction. And so cynicism was at an all-time high. And therefore, the main job as perceived by production executives in television was always go with the flow with what the audience is feeling now, because we need to keep them glued to the seats because we need to make money from the advertising. And that's also very cynical. So, yeah, I mean, the shows were very bleak. Kojak, there are some downbeat episodes of even Columbo. There are some there's even a very, very heavy episode, believe it or not, of Hawaii Five-0. I mean, extremely heavy. And you are correct in perceiving, Dadman, just to back you up 100%. The word you use was bleak. Yes, very bleak. And also there was this theme of, and I don't like it, I'm just agreeing with you, there was a theme in a lot of episodes of television at the time and a lot of genre movies of the futility of trying, the futility of optimism. And I find that horrific. I find that to be the true horror. When hope dies, everything dies along with it.
Well, and I will Yeah, I agree.
Thank
I
you.
agree. And
Agree.
and that's where to me the connection made it with the 69th is their hope was gone. So, down to a personal level. But yeah. Well, hey, shall we get into something a little more light now about this episode?
Please, because
Sure.
yeah, please.
All right. Well, hey, I could not help but keep hearing Captain Overtalk in this whole damn episode. Joey, do you like movies about gladiators? It's oh my gosh, all I could hear was Captain Over. Airplane, guys, airplane.
It's been too long. I didn't make the connection.
Oh, Captain Over. All I could hear of Peter Graves was forget Mission Impossible. Everything else was Captain Over from Airplane. Everything's a spoof. Do you like movies about Turkish prison? Joey, have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Oh no. Oh my gosh. I've lost you guys. All right, but hey. But that was
No, I'm here. I just had to reply to the wondrous co-hosts here, the panelists who are very kind and very humane.
I'm sorry, it's been so long since I saw that movie. I'm not.
Well, Daisy, we're gonna have to do that when I get. No, it's Peter Graves was so unserious. He was deadpan in Airplane, which was a spoof comedy. So he's in here delivering serious lines, and all I could think of is comedy. It's probably one of the first times I've actually seen him. Because I didn't watch Mission Impossible. I've not seen a lot of his actual real films. Most of my frame of reference from him is Airplane. And to actually see him play a dramatic role is really, really interesting for once.
Oh, God. Dude, It Conquered the World is a dramatic role within a bad science fiction film. Come on. He was playing that. He was playing that straight, dude. It's like, I don't care. This is a sci-fi film with a 8-foot-tall latex rubber Vlasic pickle. I'm going to take this very seriously. And he did. And he also played against, oh my God, Lee Van Cleef was his co-star in that. Lee Van Cleef, one of the meanest men in 60s Westerns. And also in a couple of other drama films. So, I don't like the fact he was phoning it in for this episode, but I love Peter Graves. And I always will.
Well, I love that Captain Over is still a year away.
Phantom, yeah.
Yes.
Phantom.
I was over and under.
It's a feeling creature.
I was over, under, and under was underdone. Yes. Hey, Scraps is a boy dog.
Yeah.
Callbacks.
Oh, you guys are wonderful. But see, that I found refreshing.
Never mention that film, buddy. Never mention that film. Oh dear God, I hate that movie.
That film was upsetting.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad I haven't seen it.
Upsetting.
Daisy, if you ever can have a double feature that should never happen, Midnight Express and Sophie's Choice.
No, thank you.
Well,
exactly.
Right. I know. Well, hey.
Did anyone get a little feeling of the villain in this episode being General Chang from Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, complete with
notes.
one eye missing?
I'm going to shut up. I'll be right back. I got notes.
Well, let's get into your show notes. We've talked about this the series. Let's have some fun with it, and let's talk about your show notes. All right, JT or Daisy, would y'all have anything before we get to Hungry Boys show notes? We got 14 people again with us. Hey, thank you, everybody. Hanging out on a Friday night. I appreciate y'all being here.
I will tell you one thing that was kind of, it touched my heart. When it appears that Buck is they're not sure whether he's going to make it or not.
Right.
And Hewer and someone else are talking. Theopolis. Dr. Theopolis is on the desk, and Hewer and Theopolis are talking about, saving as many as they can from this gas or whatever. And Tweaky turns and walks out, and he's doing his BD. And I think it's Hewer says, "What's that about?" And Theopolis says he's upset that we all just assume Buck is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a little robot that can't even speak. I mean, he speaks, but very few people understand what he's saying. But he has formed such an attachment to Buck. And he's just like, I can't believe you people are just acting like he's never coming back. You know, and he goes off almost like a child. I don't understand, and I'm unhappy about it. And he walks off. And that was just that. I like Tweaky, and it was like, yeah, I know, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he's not really dead though, because he's the star of the show, Tweaky. So it's okay.
That was a good moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm
Can
not
I
sure
add
about
good Wilma, a good Wilma moment.
Giorgio Moroder. What does soundtrack this meant? I'm not sure what that is. But hey, speaking of new people, Lisa's added to the chat. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Lisa.
Oh, fantastic to have you here. But I mean, Wilma had this great line, and I know we have mixed feelings about how she's dealing with her mentor and all these people she grew up with. And they said since she was knee high, they said when they met her, she was knee high. Okay. Right. And she's been doing hero worship, and these people are probably in a way de facto family for her. That's the way I perceive she felt about them.
Right.
Like, you know, Noah was practically, I got the impression it was a grandfather that she never had or wanted to have. Or even a father figure, depending on the age difference. But there's this one line when Buck is confronting her in the landing bay, and it is so wonderful that they gave this line. I hate this is going to sound woke, but it's not. There's a line that they gave to a woman which would generally go to a man in a debate like this, and she says, Noah is using 20-year-old cargo sleds, 30-year-old bombs, and 85-year-old pilots. How could I make it worse? And that gives me goosebumps, because that just shows me this is a real military woman. She has weighed up all of those elements, and it's coming right out of her head instantly and articulately. And I love that moment. I think that is just beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. And so it's simultaneously concrete in thinking for a military woman, but it's also highly emotional, where she's accidentally tapping back to when she was a kid and a teenager, looking up to this man Noah and all the people he was associated with. And it is perfect writing. It is subtextual yet direct, and that's very rare these days.
Well, and she didn't, you know, when we were back in the 70s and we were watching a character like this, when a female would say something like that, it didn't strike us as completely alien. We didn't have the word woke. No. It was just, she's a military. She's grown up in the military. This is her life. She's known these people since she was a toddler. And they mean so much to her. And she's just going to say this. This is what she's going to say. Right and on. We didn't go back to a woman should say it or a man should say it or da. We just went, yes, that's what the character would say. It didn't matter that she was a woman.
Right.
Well,
but it was very rare in the 70s, Daisy, for a female character to have such a powerful line. Right. And that I have a problem with. That's why I like this episode so much. Where I've heard women in my family say stuff like that since I was 4, right? So I like seeing that reflect the reality of my own life. And also, you know, going back to the villains, like, you know, you and JT were talking about, I mean, Robert Quarry was perfect for this. And as I mentioned before, he's got genre background. And I did, the only thing that I had a complaint with was he was going really over the top and chewing, as I mentioned before, chewing the scenery. Whereas I thought Aaron Gray and Buck, you know, Gil Gerard, were actually being very emotionally subtle in this episode. So it was a bit jarring when we would go from subtle, psychologically nuanced portrayals of what the characters were doing to, I'm going to blow up Earth. You know, nerve gas, blah, 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 blah. And I still love
and I'm going to I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
and I'm gonna torture you and make it hurt. And we're not gonna do this to you, Wilma. We're gonna do it to Buck because you care about him. Yeah.
Exactly. Bring the torch,
It,
Alicia. Bring
bring
the
your
torch.
torch. Yeah. Right.
It's-
Take your robot hand off and bring us the torch hand.
Did you catch when they actually made an editing faux pas? Like when they were when she was about to smack poor Alicia in the face, and you see her arm come back, and the glove is not on her hand. You actually see the actress's real hand, and then
No.
then it cuts back to her hitting the wall. Because
wall.
Alicia ducks, and it's the gauntlet again, the cybernetic hand. So they actually made a goof there. That was hilarious. But the actress, I mean, yes, go
I
ahead.
thought there was another goof. They tied Wilma's feet together,
Yes.
and yet when they start fighting, she does lean forward like her feet are together, but then her feet are magically not
Yes.
secured together, and I was like, well, when did that happen?
And then there's another problem that you probably caught as well. There is one moment, maybe two, but there's certainly one moment where it's already established that Alicia is deaf and mute. And and back in the 79, unfortunately, they were still saying deaf and dumb. That was still and I don't like that term. I do not like the DUM term. That DUMB I don't like.
And
it.
they treated her that way.
Yes, and well, actually, she said, Roxanne said she's incapable of speech. She thought she was incapable of speech. What a bitch. I mean, I give a credit to the actress who always played nice people. She played the wife of Paul Lynde on the Paul Lynde Show, believe it or not, a sitcom.
Okay,
that was.
Let me be. And I'm doing this. Let me be the devil's advocate on that whole thing. Okay, I know that we're reacting to what's said and that, but what if they had not acted like that? What if those had not been the lines? We would not have seen this contempt from them to this character, would we? Would it have communicated the same way?
I agree with you. What I'm leading up to is a mistake, what they refer to as a goof on the IMDb. Okay, there's one time where Roxanne, the evil Cinderella stepmother character, is facing away from Alicia, who is deaf, and actually orders her about, and Alicia responds. If she's deaf, she wouldn't have heard it. She couldn't respond.
Correct. It happens several times.
Yeah, and you noticed it too.
And characters will talk to Alicia, and they'll turn their head sideways and talk to her. And I'm going, you can't read lips sideways. It's hard enough to do it.
And that was to the point I didn't even know she was deaf.
Yeah,
because they made that mistake so many times. I did not know until they explicitly started with sign language and said that she was. I was like, well, what?
Thanks for telling me. We couldn't know otherwise.
Well, yeah, because in the beginning I was thinking, well, as a servant, I'm going to use that word. She just was not allowed to speak, is what I thought was going on, and then some of her mannerisms tipped me off. The actress probably is deaf or hard of hearing, because some of her mannerisms, she waited for other people to react.
Yes. And sometimes she's turned away
thinking,
and not looking at anything, particularly when they've escaped, and they're at the very end of the episode, and she's in the back seat of the starfighter, and she's just looking out into space because she can't see anyone talking.
Well, you know, one of the things that you talk about is, was she just a servant, and I don't know if these rumors or these things were around back then, but we've seen it in some of the Hunger Games, we've seen it in some of the more modern mythos, like maybe it was cultural, maybe the tongues were ripped out of servants and stuff like that, so they could not speak, they could not integrate. I don't know. I mean, we could have thought about that back then, couldn't we have, in the 70s, 80s? Or was that not really a concept that was around then?
It was historically known. Okay. That happened in Australia, and that with indentured servants, and it happened in America with indentured servants and slaves. And I don't like talking about that shit.
No, I know, but we're hitting some tough topics with this tonight, and we just have to acknowledge what had happened, because that's what I would think too. Because y'all said, well, she doesn't talk. Well, it could. My mind then goes to the fact of maybe there's physical reasons why they can't, different things like that, and versus
they implied that she was deaf from birth and therefore had not spoken. That was the implication of the episode, but it was not implicitly stated. There's implied and then implicit. And that's why you can use both in Scrabble.
And see, that's the problem I have with implicit sometimes, is if you're dense like me sometimes and you just don't get it, you can struggle and
you're
you
not
realize.
Dense. Stop that.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like, damn it, how many times I got to repeat that to you?
No, that's your husband. You have husband. You don't hear it until the 42nd time we've said it, or we have the next door neighbor come over, preferably a male next door neighbor, come over and say it to you, and then you hear it.
Oh, the face lights up.
Oh, God, I wait for Lisa to say that. God. I wait. That's in Fortnite, and her. And
We've hit the tangent.
Her and Mrs. and then you got a mansplain when Stunning or somebody else comes in anyway. But I got it. But hey, folks, thank you for being here tonight. Make sure you've hit that like button, subscribe to us, and I got a great cast of crew, Motley crew. It's been a blast night so far. We're going to keep going a little bit longer, but any points with this episode that y'all want to do before we talk?
Oh, hell yes. Okay. I just want to do something really quickly, and then I just want Daisy and JT and you to unleash a word that you use. I want to hear you unleash.
Okay, go ahead. Throw it out there.
All right. We're going.
Oh my gosh, look at the misses here with this one. Yeah. I like that.
Mrs. I love you so much. The thing is, I want to jump to the scene where Buck and Wilma have been captured and they are in the cell and they need to escape from the cell. And Alicia comes over and she hand signs to Buck. He hand signs back, which is a that is a good plot device because the guards are not hearing anything. She does not have to whisper. They can silently communicate, and the doofus guards are not going to catch anything. But then the whole plan is, Wilma, can you, in quotation marks, distract them? And we all know what that means. And Wilma actually, she asks, is somebody going to take me home tonight, basically? And then she says, oh my God, I could not believe this as a kid. I can't believe it now. I'm talking to all three of you,
Yeah.
Holy crap.
How did that get past censors?
I know, that's what I was thinking.
We're talking
to all three of you.
A menage a quatre? Not even menage a trois. A menage a quatre? I mean, this is like Key Party, 1976. Whoa!
that would have been Quattro, whatever. But anyway,
my mother said you did not hear that when we were watching
really?
the show. Yeah.
I don't. I was watching it with my dad. I would have been watching it with my mom. Wouldn't have paid attention. I would have been watching it with my dad, and neither of us said anything.
But when you were watching it for this week, did you face palm a little bit, Daisy, when she said?
I kind of went, wow. I mean, she started with the one guy and was saying, "Oh, and the blue eyes," and I love a man in uniform.
What are you doing later tonight?
And
the guards started moving in too in really suggestive way. I'm like, what is going to happen here? Because that would have never been on daytime television.
No.
Yep.
No, we got 14 viewers now. It's like, hey, we're bringing it out. See, we've gotten Bow Chicka Wow Wow twice.
Bow Chicka Wow Wow.
We've gotten Buck Rogers After Dark. So
definitely.
And the music in that scene was so combination bad disco plus late night grindhouse movie 42nd
basically
Street,
it could have been
Pizza Boy
movie. It could have been an adult boy movie. Yeah, exactly. Music. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah,
rated harder than R, shall we say?
And Buck was going along with it. When she says, "I love a man in uniform," he goes,
yes!
"Oh, yes." And I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
It was so over the top. I couldn't
But see,
believe it.
I like Buck there. I thought Buck added that extra dimension. See, where I lost it with the scene was not that. I figured that was just the bad acting of the guards. They reminded me
Yeah.
of
That's
the
true.
And the
cops
choreography of the fight.
Well, you remember when Priscilla Presley says, "I like cops," and all the cops, "Hey, yeah," they all that's what it reminded me of, with the uniform, and they all lined up, and
the
what's
Spaceballs helmets.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes.
Exactly. What is the hell with everybody looking like Spaceballs with the round helmets? I mean,
They have walks on their head.
That's crazy.
In my notes, it's funny. I'm not going to go into it, but to back you all up.
Hungry, one second, real quick.
Yep.
The one thing I wanted to say was not just that, was just the bad that scene I thought was really bad where she goes and she like causes the short with the thing up, with the big metal pole was like, what that was a lame way to cause a distraction. I thought.
But how could she lift it? I mean, honestly,
where did she find it?
Yeah. But also it was,
there.
that pole looked 12 feet, that pole looked about 10 to 12 feet long, and she's the actress is 5'3". So if that's real hard metal that is conductive, that could allow for that short circuit, how can she possibly lift it and swing it?
And not get electrocuted herself as well.
Well, I know. Well, was she wearing rubber shoes? Was she kidding?
Did she have rubber hands? I mean, I would think that the electricity would go through your hand.
Rubber hands. Good one, dude.
Wow.
The choreography was terrible.
Thank you. Choreography. Yes, I agree with you.
Choreography. That was in the notes. Yeah.
It was better than The Last Jedi, though, I will still say.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
There we go.
I stopped there. Hey, look, I try to be positive and everything else. I've got to have the little channel ownership prerogative to throw a little barb here and there every once in a while.
Well,
Plus,
I mean,
buddy.
I couldn't tell if it was.
you.
I couldn't tell if Erin Gray was doing the fight scene or if it was a stunt double. Because the body type was incredibly similar, but they had one of the clues to a stunt double is you match the wig to the hair perfectly as you can, but you don't show the face. And in that fight scene, we didn't see the face of Wilma, the character, and therefore Erin Gray. But if it was Erin Gray, I give her credit because those heels. No, that would not be easy to do that scene in those heels.
Yeah.
No, that's
now
true.
I do want to ask a serious question here because this came up in the chat. And it's not really serious, but to Daisy Archer had asked, how accurate was the ASL in that scene?
It was well, okay. I understood what she was saying. When Buck explained what she wanted to do, that's called interpreting, because American Sign Language doesn't have a sign for every single word in the English language. So they have an implied, you use your hands and your facial expressions and other things to convey what you mean. So what she said about you need to get them to stand near the door so I can cause a distraction. Yes, it was close enough. So yes, it did seem as if she actually did know how to sign.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that the actress was deaf or the child of deaf parents.
There's not a lot of
that she acted.
There's very little information on her.
Would you say that was it was basic but serviceable? That's what Buddy was saying. So
the sign language.
The sign language, I think.
Oh, I think they did a very good job in that. That's often what would happen in the 70s and 80s is a deaf person would sign something and immediately, even if it's a conversation between them and one other person, because they didn't always subtitle things. So the hearing person would then say, well, I understand that you don't get along with your mother, but we still have to go to the party. And you're like, that's not how you would actually speak back to the person. So they're interpreting what the deaf person is signing for the people who are watching it who don't understand sign language rather than subtitling, which is kind of what they do now with deaf characters or alien species that don't speak English. They'll subtitle it in the movie itself, not just the closed captioning.
And some TV shows. But
Correct.
I also want to like go back to something that Daisy and I agreed on, and I'll be interested if JT agrees with it and Dadman agrees with it. But one of the most poignant moments in this episode for me.
What's the word you just used?
Poignant.
Poignant.
I'm a rebel bitch. I can't help it.
No. I thought I heard something else. Sorry.
Okay. Poignant.
Okay, poignant. Okay, gotcha.
The thing is, when Buck actually confronts Roxanne and says no, she can speak and she is intelligent, and then, as a credit to the actress and the screenwriter, one of the most horrible lines of dialogue I've ever heard, and it goes back to how horrible characters like Sykes from Charles Dickens is, and that's a horrible, horrible character. I bloody well hate that character. Is she says, "I don't want her to speak." That was chilling and horrific. She is so used to getting her jollies off on abusing this poor girl and crushing her memory device of her parents.
I know.
Right.
That was. I was so angry. I was so angry.
It was enraging, wasn't it, Daisy?
Yeah. That's all she's got. And she has managed to hide it from you.
It's like you take an orphan.
All she has left.
Yeah. It's like an orphan at an orphanage who has one photo of their birth parents and then you burn it in front of their eyes.
Yep.
I was so pissed off.
I mean, I assumed that was the point.
Yeah.
We were supposed to hate these people, but it was an upsetting in real world outside of the episode itself.
Yes.
It made me very angry.
Yes. Even if it was a science fiction creation that there were deaf and mute people. Let's say there were no deaf and mute people in real life, and they had created this in terms of science fiction, and this had been done to the character, it would be equally emotionally upsetting because it was so cruel and sadistic. Rotten. A soul that was rotten to the core. I hate to sound Catholic here, but an irredeemable soul. Roxanne had an irredeemable soul.
The one good thing is that when Buck said that she is smart, she can speak in sign language, saying she's got a brain and she can use it, the girl smiled.
Yes.
Alicia smiled. Or Alice. I'm sorry. Alicia. It is Alicia. I was right. She smiled, this wonderful, sweet smile, like finally somebody understands that I'm not stupid.
Oh, I'm so glad because I did not know any of that. And thank you very much for sharing that. That improves the episode immensely for me. Thank you, Daisy.
Which is just a really quick shot right after Buck, and then she flies into I don't want her to speak and all that. I mean, she goes back to being the female dog person.
Well, forced to be. Shall we say forced to be? Up until the end of the episode.
Yes, of course. Yeah, she's acting. I don't... I'm positive that the actress is not an evil human being. Maybe she is. I don't know. I don't know her.
But it's also PTSD from like clearly years of mistreatment and abuse and threaten. I mean, to be honest, threatening cripplement. There was a moment earlier before where Roxanne, this bloody horrible B word, says, "I can make your hand like mine," and starts crushing her hand. It's only when she gets the message from her scarred lover that there's something important to deal with that she actually stops the attempt to cripple Alicia the way she is crippled. And she does the same thing to Wilma. She threatens to like burn Wilma's hand.
Well,
it's
and
awful.
Especially for Alicia, her hands are how she speaks.
And you may as well,
and of course the other lady doesn't know that. I mean, because she doesn't think she understands she can speak at all. But inside that girl to know you've destroyed the little ball thing. Now you're going to take away my only way to communicate with other people. I mean, you can sign one-handed. You can. But the first initial thing would be, now you're really going to take away my voice. And yeah, and then she goes after, when she shakes hands with Wilma, she tries to crush Wilma's hand, and then she starts to do that with Buck, and he does.
And he turns it around on her.
And he turns it around on her.
And she looks shocked, and she stops messing with Buck. She's not used to that because she's so used to being disfigured, to use the proper term, physically disfigured, that she doesn't know what to do, because she's clearly got a huge hang up about this. And also they established, and this was good Grand Guignol horror, going back to Phantom of the Opera in the night, back with the original book by Gaston Leroux. She has major psychological hangups, and she lost her hand because she was trying to save her lover, or maybe husband, I don't know, Corliss. He established he was burning alive to death in the cabin when Wilma had bombed them, because she had to, and she had to reach into that fire to save him while he was being burned alive and pulled it out. And that's how she lost her hand. And she got a big bugaboo up her butt about that. And so there are a lot of amazing aspects of this episode, but it's still a mixed bag of nuts.
Yep. So.
What do you think, JT?
One moment. Sorry.
Okay.
No
Daisy,
worries.
more from you, please.
See, I was not, but see, maybe
I'm sorry, Dadman. I didn't mean to
No, I just don't really see it as a big mixed bag of nuts. I actually was really, maybe I just did not pick up on the themes and the emotions and the stuff that y'all did. I actually just, I thought it was a good, solid episode all over, but I'm trying to hold off on my opinion towards the end about that to that depth. But I don't see the mixed bag of nuts. But then again, it's probably just me, frame of reference, that type of stuff.
Well,
Hungry, I do have a take on it. It's probably too dark to share on YouTube, unfortunately.
You be careful here. Yeah.
Well, the Senate comes out, yes, but hey, it's all good.
Well, JT, you can share that with me in DM later. Okay.
And sure. We'll keep it light. We'll keep it light. The Return of the Fighting 69th was the 8th episode, directed by Philip Leacock, written by David Karen. First aired October 25th, 1979. And it's 53-410. So basically, folks, I don't know, Sally, how many more talking points do we have with this one? Are we?
I got one for you because you're a military guy. I got one for you that's specific, and maybe Daisy and JT have something to say about that.
Okay.
Some of the good script writing elements in this is when Corliss says, "You fool! That's an ancient signaling device." When Buck is picking up the 30 caliber machine gun.
I know.
And then Buck fires and says, "Get the message." That was great screenwriting, because Corliss could not know. He did not know about Buck. He did not know he came from the 20th century. And he did not know that Buck would look at that 30 cal and realize it was, and this is a nickname in Australia, a weed cutter. And you can understand why it was called the weed cutter.
Yep.
And it is a payoff for a setup, because they brought up the nerve gas, and they actually showed the machine guns at the beginning. And it goes to something called Chekhov's gun in playwriting. You don't show a gun in Act 1 if the gun's not going to be used in Act 3. So they did Chekhov's gun, but they didn't use Chekhov's gun. They used Chekhov's 30 cal machine gun. And that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there was a heavier caliber. I swear to God, I saw like a 50 cal on the table. And Buck, being smart, being a military guy, he knew not to pick that up because it would be too heavy for him to wield properly. And he chose to pick up the one that actually had a full belt attached to it, ready to go. And he knew exactly what to do. And I thought that did not require any script. That was subtextual, and it was just fantastic military moment in science space opera time. And Buck used that 30 cal, dude. I think Joe Gerard was having fun with that.
Well, we added a little more likeness to it here. Phantom Outsider a while back said, and Wilma Gardner inspired the 25th century hit that goes, all the boys think she's a spy. She's got Wilma Deering eyes.
Wilma Deering eyes.
There you go.
Good one, Fanny. Oh,
You
that's
have to do
brilliant.
it. You have to go, Wilma Deering eyes.
Nice one. Nice
Uh,
one, Daisy.
oh my
But
gosh.
Dadman, admit it. Admit it. You were happy to see that 30 cal come into action in this episode,
You
weren't you?
always are. You need a little more firepower.
A little
Can-
pew pew going on there, dude.
Yeah, you never have enough firepower. Double down, triple down.
In
Yeah.
comic books, the actual lettering for the sound effect is Buddha, 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 which
Yeah.
sounds like Twiki, but it's
Yes.
Buddha, 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 because of the sound of the with a hyphen in between the Buddhas to show the exact speed and sound of the bullets coming out.
Yeah. Only thing the villains
Ah.
cared about was each other and themselves. They didn't care about the victims, past or future. These days, they act like, oh no, Wilma, don't hurt them. Also, that's why they're the way they are, except they weren't evil even before they got hurt. Yeah.
True.
Well, yeah,
just
and
like
that's
every
what Wilma
sociopath.
points that. Yeah, Wilma points that out when they're all, we're
Exactly,
going to get
Lisa.
revenge. Yeah, and she's going, but you were doing illegal things and you were transporting this and that and the next thing. And the reason the thing caught on fire was because what you were transporting was illegal and caught on fire.
Also,
Mhm.
They were like-
Daisy, they were dumb. Wilma points out that they were easily flammable. They were old weapons, and they could go boom at any time. It's like, they caused an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
The
Yeah.
only other thing I'd like to point out is that because we did have a deaf person in this, that the first closed captioning on television occurred in 1980. That was only on ABC, NBC, and PBS here in the United States.
Oh, cool.
There's a special little thing inside your TV. It's called a decoder.
Mm-hmm.
Those were not standard. They did not used to be standard. You had, as a deaf person, you had to go pay extra and have it installed in order to pick up any of the captions. So the decoders started to become standard on TVs in 1990. And in 2010, closed captioning was required by law on newish type things. At least that's what I looked. Now, I was involved in the decoder situation because I was in college at the time, or the second time, and involved in the deaf community. And so we were actually writing letters to congressmen and senators saying, just make this standard on all televisions, because it's not just good for deaf people. It's good for children who are learning how to read, or anyone who's learning English as a second language. And that's how they finally got the U.S. government to say, yeah, we'll put the decoders on all the TVs. And I assume the TV manufacturers raised the price of the TVs to cover it. But at least you didn't have to go in and get the specific one that goes with your specific TV manufacturer and all that kind of nonsense.
They were separate boxes at one point that you would run the TV signal through, and it would put it out on the TV. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there were very few things in the beginning that were captioned. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Yeah, JT, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was a big thing.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, any other points that we've got?
I did have
before we talk
three
about
quick ones.
Yep. Okay, go ahead. We'll take whatever time we need.
Sure. The first one, the lasers that they had to fly under, reminded me kind of like Space Invader or one of the other old video games again.
Yep. Little red dots. Little red dots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good one.
The second one was they needed to do some reshoots on the whole bombing section because the acting of like, okay, now the impact is happening was absolutely terrible. The way people were falling all over the place. I'm like, no, you needed a few more takes for the editing. The last one, it frustrated me, and maybe it was done on purpose. I don't know. But when Buck made fun of Wilma by calling her Dizzy D and using that nickname, she smiled at him. And I was like, wait a minute. He's ribbing her. She should be mad or kind of, I don't know, don't give him a slap or a punch on the shoulder, but
Oh, you
if you're
thought that
playing
was an
around
innocent
like that-
smile? You thought that was an innocent smile?
I
You
did.
youngin'.
I did.
Daisy, instruct him.
I don't remember the scene.
There are
He called her
innocent
dizzy.
smiles
He's
from
like,
women.
okay, Dizzy.
That was
D.
not an
And she
innocent
just turned
smile.
and smiled.
That was I will get you back for this bitch later. That's what the smile.
Okay, that makes more sense then, because I took it as a benevolent smile, and I'm like, that doesn't work. No, that's not how you would react.
You're
Anyway,
correct.
Okay,
You're correct.
thanks for fixing it for me.
Well, let's go ahead and give our, unless there's any other big points. We're almost at 3 hours. So what a fun, lively night tonight. And yeah, Lisa, like Lisa said, she's guessing. Yeah, it probably is a FU smile out there. So the stupid mouse. There we go. There you go. It's there too.
It's not a mouse. It's a rat.
It's a rat. Okay, gotcha. Well, anyway, but so let's go around the horn. Unless there's any other big points you want. Daisy, what did you think of this episode overall? So, and thank you, Admiral T. Yes, appreciate that out there.
Yes. Yeah, it was. There was good and bad. I mean, some of it was very, very interesting, and some of, like, the fight choreography or the this or that were just little things along the way that I don't know that it pulled me out all the way, but it was just, I couldn't say entirely focused on the whole thing. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't one of my favorites either.
Okay. All right. JT or Hungry, who wants to go next?
JT?
We'll go clockwise.
No, you.
Well, that's what he means. He'll go next.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. This is the weakest episode we've watched so far.
Okay.
It tried. It did.
Yep.
There's too many problems with it, and I just didn't like it. Straight up, I just did not like it. For some reasons I can't really say on YouTube. Outside of saying it a fourth, a fifth, sixth time, we need better next time. We really do. I feel like this was a forgettable episode. I don't think there was anything that really moved these characters forward much at all to talk about. So
I think Lisa just backed you up.
No, that's what I was doing the other night when I was watching Crystal Skulls and Indiana Jones.
Lisa, at least once. I'm not going to lie. At least once.
Well, folks, guess what? We enjoyed JT Kirk on the episode.
Where'd JT go? Jeez, that scared me. Oh, that was frightening. But I have one really quick, simple comment to wrap this all up. I mean, thank God Noah and his crew made it. Thank God Alicia got her family back. I do not like downbeat endings. I do not like things that simply are depressing for the sake of being depressing. And before television went to hell, we got a big happy ending on three levels. The Earth was saved. The 69th got their wings back. And Alicia got her family back. And that is just heartwarming. And thank God we still have some heartwarming stuff to watch.
Well, see, yeah, exactly. But I will. So overall, what did you think with the episode of Hungry? Or did you just wrap it up in that comment?
Let's say I wrapped it up.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I will tell you what. Unlike JT, I really like this episode. I thought I liked it better than Vegas. Probably because, I really connected with the 69th, I really felt for them. And the whole thing, the emotional too, is that they really, to me, maybe I'm naive or whatever else. I thought that they sold that Noah and the crew were actually obliterated on that mission. I really thought that they were goners. You had that grim realism in the hangar. Dr. Hewer wants to throw a friggin' party, and then they're like, screw you, we don't, we lost the heart of our operation. And then all of a sudden you get, hey, there's transmission in their back. So, was it hokey? Yes, probably ending. But you know what? It kind of played with both sets of emotions. I liked it. I like Peter Graves. It was nice seeing him in a serious role. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the hokiness. Maybe it's the war type movie in it that I made more of a connection than say Vegas. But I mean, I like both episodes, and I like this one a lot. But hey, your mileage may vary, and that's what the beauty is around here. Is people say what they want to and think that they, we're all friends together. We have fun and we love debating, don't we?
I would like you to be more generous to yourself. I would not say hokey. I would say warm-hearted. And just because some people mistake warm-hearted for hokey does not mean warm-hearted is hokey. It was warm-hearted.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. Yeah. So,
but yeah, I noted happy ending. I put happy ending in my notes.
Yay. Yay for Alicia. Yay. Yes. She doesn't need the memory ball anymore. She doesn't need it.
A Phantom Outsider, but then again, Buck-nosed bots in high places. Oh, I love that. So, well, we've still got 11 people with us.
That's tonight. Our dollar, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bot in high place.
That would be a butt in high places. We hit 3 hours. We just hit 3 hours, folks. Yay.
Yes, but see, in British parlance, a bot is a butt. So British bot, American butt. Okay, so it was a pun. I swear to God, it was.
Works for me. So
I was also holding out hope that Alicia would get her hearing if she made it.
No, they established that. They established that at the end. She's undergoing electronic. They call it electronic surgery, and they said, she should have her hearing back in about a week.
And then he said, Buck said that's going to be quite an adjustment, which is true.
Yes.
Yes.
You've been deaf your whole life, and all of a sudden you can hear everything. It can be quite irritating.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. It's kind of like when older people, they've lost their hearing for a long time, and then they get the hearing aids, and then they can hear the heater turn on and off, and the refrigerator, and all the things that we just tune out. Their brain has to remember to tune all that out.
Yep. But hey, all right. Well, let's go. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the next 2 weeks off. Next week is Thanksgiving in the U.S. also. And then, a combination of different factors are coming together in 2 weeks on December 1, where I'm choosing to go ahead and take the week off, but we will come back after that, picking up episodes 6 and 7, the 2-part episode right there. Because
the plot to kill a city.
Yep.
Oh, thank God.
On the 8th of January.
Yep. Exactly. So,
well,
the thing is there's some travel plans. There's also, I'm planning on doing my 500 subscriber celebration on Tuesday, December 5th, if I got the dates written down right. But the first Tuesday in December is when I plan on doing that. So I would probably like some time to get stuff set up for things, trying to work a little more rest in the next few weeks. There'll be more random type streams and stuff like that as I feel and as we do things, that type of thing. So just be aware of everything that we've got. No, not Phantom, 6 weeks.
Not 6, just 2.
No, just 2.
Just 2. So yes, and also a happy Thanksgiving. Dang this thing! It won't.
Stupid rat.
Get there.
Stupid
Thank
rat.
you.
Stupid rat. And Daisy, because of your profession, it's Easter break, not summer vacation. It's only 2 weeks.
Yeah,
they call it summer break and winter break, but they do call this one Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Oh,
Admiral Teague says Princess Ardella is a better ruler for Earth than the Skynet type robot things that Earth can consult with. Exactly. Never trust the robot. So.
No,
I think somebody else said January. I think somebody else said January because of some other thing, but no, it's only 2 weeks. Yes,
what
JT.
Were you saying, JT?
This alternate schedule just means that we all need to have our subscriptions set up correctly, so that way we all know when the 500 celebration is going to be on,
Yes,
and when
exactly.
we do another one of these.
Exactly.
So-
Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube, but also make sure you're still subscribed. Follow on Twitch, get the notifications. But I'm going to show you where you also go to get more information. But guys, thank y'all for your any last thoughts before I do the outro stuff. Any last thoughts, guys? Thank y'all for 3 hours of mischief and mayhem. And now I think honestly too, very, very enlightening, fun entertainment, but tackling some serious subjects. You can watch a lot of mind numb stuff out there, but we have fun sharing our thoughts about a great TV show, and we got serious a bit at times too, and still had some laughs and had some fun. But any last thoughts from any of y'all?
Have a good 2 weeks.
Dizzy D makes me dizzy.
There you go. All right.
Bitty, 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 bitty.
Bitty bitty. All right. So there you go.
Or
All
Daisy, or Daisy in the case of Vegas in Space. Booty, 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 booty.
right. Yep. All right. Well,
So
here we
much
go.
lycra, so little time.
I know. Anyway, well, here we go, folks. Here we go. Here, listen. Like I said, there's going to be a couple big streams coming up, and then it'll be a lot of, impromptu stuff. But also, I'll tell you where to follow beyond just that. But Monday night, join me as I talk with the Great Culture Casino. We're going to talk the business of college sports. Specific topics we're going to take a look at are the name, image, likeness issue in college athletics, where athletes are getting paid now, to conference realignments and the change in the landscape, where maybe only 3 major conferences before long, if everything holds out, for what we're seeing develop. So join us for what's going to be a riveting conversation. Even if you don't like sports ball, folks, sports ball is not bad. There is more to sports ball than just sports. There is no Teague. Admiral Teague happened to show up on the week where Jacksonville State Gamecocks played the South Carolina Gamecocks.
Yes,
So-
yes, I heard you
so-
on that stream.
Exactly. And we even got the nice British lady kind of chuckling darkly on that. So anyway,
The
but
Gamecocks are actually mentioned on one of my favorite cheap ass Z grade horror films on Tubi. They were a major
Jeez.
part of the first scene in the film. There's a dad yelling at his kid going, "No, you're going to be Gamecocks. You are not going to that other college."
oh my gosh. So
It lasted
Yes.
10 minutes arguing about his kid going to be a Gamecock. You are a Gamecock family boy. It's hilarious.
I gotcha.
Foghorn Leghorn.
5-horn Leghorn. There you go.
Son,
Well, join us
hi,
Monday
son.
night at 7. Join us Monday night at 7. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about South Carolina. Who knows? But hey, join me in Culture Monday night at 7 for what's going to be a great discussion. So don't judge it against sports ball. There's a lot of business and other ramifications, including we might even talk about how the Texas A&M coach who was just fired is walking away with a guaranteed $76 million as long as he doesn't take another
Oh.
job.
Poor
So
baby.
yes, exactly. So, and players and everybody else.
Envy.
Now
Envy.
Tuesday night, hey, it's our last SEC College Football Weekly, featuring none other than the Queen of Florida herself for the Florida State Week, Lorena Creole, Tuesday night at 8
No.
p.m. Huh?
Dad, man,
What?
you have to roll your R's. La Reina Creole.
I can't do that. I can't. I don't even try.
Ricardo Montalban says La Reina Creole.
You
Oh, there you go.
Very nice.
You're
You're speechless.
I'm speechless. I can't even get the words out now.
I can't. I'm done.
Check it out Tuesday at 8 p.m., folks. And the only time
Yes.
zone that matters, Eastern
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Lorena is a very nice lady.
Yes.
La Reina is a very nice lady.
Yes, she is.
And she
Oh my
is
God.
Creole.
I'm like, what do I do with you? I mean, I have enough trouble Englishing sometime, and then you throw that, then you.
I made JT snort. I made JT snort. Yes, badge of honor. Badge of honor.
We are so misbehaved
Daisy
tonight.
was
It's
cackling.
unbelievable.
Daisy was cackling. I have 2 medals. La di da di da di da.
I don't want to sound like it's a cackle. I'm not an old witch.
Come on, Daisy. Come on. You can let the prim and proper down. Come on. You can do it.
I was laughing. What did I said? We were very misbehaved.
I know. I was like,
we are very misbehaved this evening.
All right, folks. Well, hey, folks, it's only appropriate we end like this after the way we started. Join me Tuesday night with Lorena on at 8 p.m.
The circle of life is complete.
What?
It's
Never
a
mind.
musical. Daisy got it. Daisy got it.
No comment.
Moving on.
I am the master. I was once a learner, but now I'm the master. The circle is complete.
Daisy.
On that note, ladies,
I'm just trying to wait and see if we're going to lose hungry. I mean, it's like.
I think he said in his country we have to dial 000.
Yeah.
If he can't breathe.
hopefully he's got oxygen near him.
Definitely.
So many tears in my eyes.
Hungry, you better attach a boat anchor to you so you don't float up to the ceiling.
I know.
I feel like the teacher in class just sits there waiting till everybody gets quiet.
You're going to have to tell us to mute ourselves because we're just not behaving at all today.
No.
I'm so
children.
sorry.
No, children.
Okay, I'll get serious now.
No, you don't have to. I love it. It's great. But hey, join us for that. Of course, we have chill chats or something. That'll be more what's come up the next few weeks whenever I go live. So because after Tuesday it'll be pretty scattered with set streams and stuff. But I will tell you a couple things. Yep. Let me go here with this. Also, Fortnite Fun with Friends that pops up at different times as I do things. But also, folks, if I can bring this up, I don't have it very. Let's see. Let me see this. Bear with me a second. So, but as you know, as many of you know, Mrs. Dadman has actually started streaming. She has her morning shows at 9 a.m. For basically where she starts off the day positive, does some calls it morning musings with Mrs. Dadman Walking. She is join tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. With the positivity. Look at some birthdays, look at some different things that she does with her show, and great memes. Yes, great memes and stuff like that. I'm trying to multitask, which is always dangerous, So, yeah, I know, really, isn't it? Trying to do this. So here with this is the best I could do on a short note. But on Monday, it's special time at 1 p.m. Damn it, get up there. Shoot, there you go. Monday at 1 p.m. Special time. Mrs. is scheduled to build stream the Retro Series Coffee Machine stream.
Cool.
So come watch that, look at that, enjoy, support her channel. Like, subscribe, follow her on Twitch also. So, but go spend some time. She's working hard with this, and just give her your love, support too. We can't do this channel without her. And and if you, like I said though, if you want to, 9 o'clock on 9 o'clock. Each morning, it's a daily stream, 9 o'clock each morning, Eastern time. She's out with positive message and memes and a good way to start the day. But this is, the next one in her builds. So,
but also you have to say, because you are doing well enough to have an international audience and also a slightly international panel, that's past midnight for people on the other side of the world, on the underside of the equator.
Right. But so at least some of our friends in Europe might be a better time, though.
Oh no,
Yeah.
true.
So,
I'm just
yeah,
saying that
exactly.
I would. I'm just saying. I'm jokingly saying I would
no.
be there, except that I'm
No.
trying to sleep at that point.
Well, one of the problems we're facing is two people sharing one StreamYard. We might have to get two StreamYards, but also the thing is, she's going at 1, I'm going at 7 with culture, so it's kind of like things. You gotta, it's life, how you gotta juggle things.
Yes.
All
it's
I was
tough.
saying is,
It's
Daisy.
2 streamers in the same house. That's
Yes,
very
gets fun.
complicated.
Yes,
But
it
you
gets
know,
fun.
if you were in the wrong time zone at the wrong time, you can always just go back and watch it after the stream has happened and leave
That
a
is
like and a
true.
comment.
Correct. And leave
Yep.
a
That
like
is
and leave a comment.
exactly.
And
So
if you
make sure
like
you
it, share it.
exactly go over and I tell you what. Also, 9 o'clock on weekday mornings, I can actually listen to her at work, and I kind of laugh along when I can because it's nice. It's not political. It's not drama. It's not anything else. It's just some funny, silly stuff. The worst they got was butt cakes, but that you had to be there for that. So, and Mrs. reminds me that there's 3. Damn it, get up there! Shoot, 3 streamers in our house, so it does
No
make
comment.
it very interesting.
Oh
So,
yeah, that's right. Aang.
dang, yes,
Attack of the
Whatever you do,
racks.
don't cross the streams.
exactly. All right, so remember Fortnite at any time we have it. We're about to go over to Mark D with the C's channel in about 15 minutes. Play some Fortnite there. But dang it, this thing has been crazy tonight. Late night Dadman and friends. We need to do another one of these again soon. Get a few more people. Although I gotta try to somehow get these on Friday and Saturday night a little bit more to because I paid for it the other morning, going to sleep way too late in the morning. So, but hey, check this out. This is a chance where we go squirrel. Yes, ma'am. Full screen. Thank you.
What do you mean you paid for it? You were a willing participant.
I know, but I paid the next morning. Yeah. I nearly fell asleep on you. Good night, Archer, Colin. Good night, everybody out there. Make sure
Good
you're there.
night.
YouTube.com, Twitch.tv for me, Dadman Walking 55. Follow me on Twitter at Dadman Walking 55 or X now, Dadman Walking 55. And that's where you need to get the latest notifications, get your notifications on Twitch and YouTube. But back up, follow me on Twitter, and because I always tweet out when I go live, and that's to be sure the way to know when we go live. So on that note, folks, JT, Hungry, the great Daisy Blossom, thank you, my friends. Thank you to all you in the chat, and everybody have a great night, and see you over at Marks in 15 minutes, or see you sometime around on this channel again. Be watching out tomorrow. Remember, the missus has a morning stream in the morning, but there may be a surprise drive stream or something tomorrow. So tune in. We'll catch you later. Bye all.
Bye.
Adios.